Hello, Internet, and welcome to Molly Mondays, a show where we play once a month or when we have something else to do on a Monday. We're here today to play some games. Talk about that in a second. I just at the very beginning want to go ahead and plug all of our stuff. If you want to know our schedule here on GGK, check out our schedule below. You can see everything that's going on. If you're watching on Twitch, I guess, scroll down. You can see everything we're doing throughout the week. We play lots of different games and do lots of other fun stuff. I think the next stream that's coming up after this one is going to be on Wednesday with Tidefall. So come and tune in for that. Anyway, that was quick. I wanted to hit that before I forgot about it. So what are we doing here today? We are here to play a game that has never been played before because I made it up. It's called Carbon Banner, which you can probably tell by some sort of logo that our fancy design person has put above our heads. Thank you, Savannah. This is a game that I've been working on for almost a year now. It's a Powered by the Apocalypse based. Let me do something like less dramatic for the music while we're talking here, because that was like a little... I'm already nervous enough and I don't need that. It's a Powered by the Apocalypse system, which you're not familiar with that. There's other games like Apocalypse World, Monster of the Week, Masks, Dungeon World. Same system as any of those. So you can check those out. It's 2d6 and kind of functions the exact same way. But this game instead is space and giant robots and the pilots that operate them. My inspiration for this game comes from a few different places, mostly just a lot of anime, where you find most of your mech fighting based stuff. If you're looking at like Mobile Suit Gundam or Neon Genesis Evangelion or Code Geass or other shows like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Voltron and other things have kind of inspired me in various smaller aspects. Even if you're not familiar with any of those, Pacific Rim, Titanfall, the video game, other things like that. Basically, the premise being that we're in the future and humanoid-looking robots are the most efficient way to fight for some reason, because space. And what we're doing today is my players here are all going to be pilots of those machines, kind of taking on missions and doing jobs in this universe. The setting here, which is the game itself, is written for a specific setting, but I think it could be used sort of agnostically for anything that anybody wanted to use it for. But with the setting we're going to be playing with here today is the one that I wrote it for, which is takes place in a future year, galactic calendar year, 530, where the humans have colonized a system in the Andromeda galaxy called the Pagana system, and specifically the moons orbiting the gas giant Gaia. There are 3 planets, Obsidia, Iria, and Terra Prime, that have been colonized for inhabitation by the humans that have braved this journey. There's a couple of like factions at play, and it's a lot of war and struggle between those. And most importantly, you have the resistance that fights this noble aristocracy that has sort of an iron grip on the people of these 3 planets, and this the union of this resistance is the Carbon Banner, the name of the namesake of the game. So that's what we're going to be sort of picking up here, is going to be these pilots are all doing jobs for the Carbon Banner. But again, the game could be played from any perspective. You could be playing for the Andromeda League, this noble aristocracy, or even as like research subjects or pilots for this mega corporation known as Ryder, or the Remy Interstellar Technology and Research Corporation. anything like that, or you just make up whatever you want. But the core of the game is going to be the pilots, who we're going to get to in a second, each of which has chosen a playbook out of a list of, I think, like 8. I don't remember how many I ended up with, but they each sort of embody a different archetype that you see in these sort of pilot movies, even things like Top Gun and just Top Gun. That's mostly, or Star Wars, I think, is another one I drew some inspiration from. But yeah, so we'll get to them. And the machines that they operate, which is another big part of the system, is that each pilot has their own mech fighter, which are called pikes. It's Pyke. It doesn't have, the acronym doesn't actually have like a meaning to it. It's the first name of each of the researchers that worked on the project. It's a little bit of war lore dump for you guys. But the pikes that they operate are the big machines, the Gundams, whatever you want to call them, that they sort of have come by, these rare and super powerful pieces of military technology that they have each come by through their own special means that have been inherited to them or stolen by them or bequeathed to them in some way. And these are sort of the core of the game, is going to be them operating these machines to overcome struggles and sometimes doing things outside of their machines. And I kind of envision this as being sort of having a very personal element to it too, as most of these genres that incorporate this sort of technology tend to focus on. So yeah, that's about it as far as setup. Most of the other stuff, the game, the rolling, the moves, all that we'll get to in play. Just a forewarning, again, this is the first playtest of this game. So there may be some moments where there's some things we need to iron out, some things we need to talk about. This may get a little bit kind of like meta game talk and stuff for a little bit while we try to work out some of the kinks. Bear with us on that. We're going to try to give a cohesive little story here for you to follow, or as much of one as we can do. So first and foremost, let's get to our players. What I'm going to do is just go to each one of you, and you can just tell me the name of your character, what playbook you chose. Tell me the moves you picked, because I think each of you got to choose 2 moves. Let's just give like the basics of the playbooks, just to give the audience a little bit of a kind of a clue and key into what this system looks like. Let's go with Alex. You're first on my screen.
All right. So I will be playing the pilot Mark Carrad, who is the ace. The ace stands above all others in the cockpit. A demigod at the controls, they push their machine to its limits time and time again, proving they stand above all others. When you're in the air, the only person you want as your wingman is the ace. So I guess in terms of, if that doesn't tell you enough about the archetype, there are also some moves in here that lend themselves a bit to like Han Solo, although there might be, I think there's another playbook that might fit him more. Anyway, but part of the reason why I say that is one of the moves that I chose is called Kessel Run. When you plot a course through danger, roll plus skill. On a 10+, you ask 2 from this list. On the 7 to 9, ask 1. What's the fastest route? What is my greatest threat? How can I ensure no one follows me? Where can I bail if things go wrong? And is there anything of value to me along the way? And then the other move I took is Never Tell Me the Odds. When you take a risky action without considering or preparing for the danger, roll plus skill. On a hit, you do it. On 10+, choose 1. On a 7 to 9, choose 2. So you either leave something or someone behind, you take a big hit, you miss something important, or you've got company.
Yeah, and the ace is one that, like you said, I based sort of on. There are a couple like Han Solo, like the very skilled pilots, and getting into that a little bit is that there are four kind of attributes each pilot will have are skill, fight, luck,
and
mind. Thank you. I can't remember the attributes of my own game, and that's only 4. And they kind of do what you'd expect. And the ace is a skill-based class, I believe. So
yeah, I think we each ended up choosing one of those.
Yeah.
Should I also Do I want to do the despair move now, or will we get into those later?
Let's talk about this a bit right now, actually. So the mechanic of this game, if you played any Powered by the Apocalypse games before, most of them have the mechanic of XP. You get a certain amount of as you play the game, you'll answer questions and you get XP as you go. Dungeon World and a couple of the games have built this mechanic of when you fail a move, you gain XP for it. I sort of compounded that a little bit and came up with this idea of despair. So a pilot, when they fail a move, when they roll a miss, so it's anything a 6 or lower, they will gain a point of despair, which has no other purpose other than when they gain 5 despair. In the game that we're going to be playing today, we're going to do it a little bit less, so we maybe get to see a despair move. I think I'm going to have you guys add 3 despair, and if we don't get to any before the end of the session, I might just like give somebody 1 just so we can see it happen. But there's a mechanic when they get to 5 despair, they can cash in those 5, and they will get to use their custom despair move, which lets them do something totally unique to their class that kind of embodies their archetype, usually doing something without needing to roll and just succeeded in it, or there's a couple of little caveats to that, and they gain a bounty for it, which is this system's XP. So yeah, what's your despair move?
Yep, so when you fall into despair, the cracks in the polish begin to show. Admit your failings to someone who matters. Whether they accept you or not, reset your despair and take +1 bounty.
Yeah. So since the ace is all about being the best and being the most elite of the pilots, their whole thing is when they get to that lowest point, you do that, you talk to somebody, you kind of confide in them a bit, and you get your bounty and get to reset your despair. Awesome. I don't think
we'll go through all the pilots and then come back around to
the
pikes.
For the pikes, yeah. So the next one on my screen is Matt.
Okay, so I am playing the Gifted book, which in this turn is those who have been touched by, mutation, technology, things that are it. So in this case, it's mentioned directly as gifted. It's a funny way to put it. Most would return it if they could, but in the centuries of exploring space, people changed. They mutated. They can do things, hear things, feel things that others cannot. The gifted have a closer bond with their machine than any other pilot, and a bond you'd be nuts to break. So my wonderful pilot, who obviously has been touched by his machine a little too closely, just goes by the name of Root, as he does have access to his machine and no one else will. And he has the particular skills of Ghost in the Shell, which allows him to connect more directly with the machine, which will then have immediate backlashes. But in turns for that, he does have the ability to replace one of the attributes of the machine with the attribute of his own. And he also has Hack the System, which allows them to hack things at a distance, all Sombra-like.
And I'll step in for one thing here is that the gifted was, I think that was actually somebody's idea. I think Matt, you actually kind of came to me with this idea initially. This was so long ago, I don't remember, but I think we actually, I think Matt came to me with this idea of wanting something kind of like a technomancer sort of thing. And I don't have any like aliens or any stuff. It's all just humans in this game. So I like the idea of having this one that's just a little bit weirder. That's kind of like magical, supernatural a little bit. So it's that was sort of the premise for the gifted. So what's the gifted's despair move?
So the Gifted's despair move, they just answer the question, what do I really want right now? And my machine will act on that desire. I have no idea and no say on how it will do that, but it will.
Basically just goes berserk for a little bit to do whatever it is that you're going to do. Or not berserk, I guess if your desire is to protect somebody, then that would be what it does. But sort of your consciousness being kind of directly connected to it. Cool, and we'll talk more about your machine in a bit. Savannah.
Hey, that's me.
Who you playing?
My character's name is Sophia Grace Kelly. Her family calls her Sophie. Her fans call her Titania. She is a former stunt pilot turned mercenary. And the class I have chosen is the Gambler, which is exactly what it sounds like. But I'll read it because it's great. The Gambler is... In a galaxy where someone always has a bigger and better gun, you've got to know when to hold 'em and know when to fold 'em. The Gambler lives a life entrusted to the luck of the dice, risking everything when the stakes are the highest, and prepared to lose it all if Lady Luck turns her back. So this is a luck-based class. So my luck is very good. My everything else, not so much. We'll see what happens. The moves that I took are called Lucky Shot, which is for when you aim at someone without hedging your bets. It just lets me roll to hit things with luck instead of with fight, because my fight's very bad. If I do good, then I deal damage and I get to do extra stuff to them, like make them drop things or stun them, that kind of thing. And then Chump Change, which is when you size up a potential mark, roll plus mind, and then I get to ask questions about what do they have that I want, what's valuable to them, what can I get them to, or what can I do to get them to do what I want them to do, that kind of thing.
Cool. And again, the Gambler is kind of the other side of like the Han Solo archetype, whereas like the Ace has all the skill and the training and stuff. The Gambler is kind of functions on just letting the cards fall where they may, and kind of using that force of good luck to succeed in life. And they're just mostly based on Kenny Rogers. So what is your despair move?
My despair move is my favorite part. When you fall into despair, close your eyes and take a shot. You don't know what's going to happen, but whatever does always turns out in your favor. Reset your despair and take one bounty.
It's probably the most ridiculous thing, and I'm really excited to see it come up and play as just because it's literally just
it's just a shot in the dark that's going to work.
Again, and one thing I want to talk about most of these classes is most of the stuff is not necessarily literal, like the Kessel Run thing. You don't necessarily need to be in your ship to do that. That's just like escaping, like plotting your course to get out of some place. I think that's the Kessel Run one. I don't remember if that's the other one you were talking about. I don't have all these things memorized. But they're not always literal to what's going on. So closing your eyes and taking your shot doesn't necessarily mean you got to pull out your gun and shoot at something, but it could literally be
just close my eyes and take a shot.
Yeah, there you go. Or just do something without thinking about it, and maybe it'll turn out best in your favor. Cool. And last we have Ryan.
Yes, I'm gonna be playing Francisco Ortega, known as Cisco, playing the Rookie playbook. The Rookie playbook is as follows. The Rookie is an unknown quantity, and that's what's so scary about them. While others have more experience in the air and on the battlefield, the Rookie has nothing to lose, everything to prove, and the resources to make it happen. They'll do whatever is necessary to make a name for themselves. And the moves that I chose were beginner's luck, which before I do something that I'm untrained, unskilled, or just plain bad at, which is just about everything, because I'm a rookie rook, I get to roll, and it gives me some bonuses. Like I can find out potentially what's the worst that can happen, or is there something someone nearby that can do it better than me, or what do I gain if I give it a shot anyway, or how can I make it easier on me? And I also chose better lucky than good. So when I stunt on somebody, I can use my luck instead of my skill, which is lacking quite a bit.
So another luck-based class. And I mostly made the Rookie because I like that archetype, especially when it comes to like some more cinematic stuff, is having the Rookie in like the mercenary group or the Marine Corps. Kind of, we did that one shot a while back with the sort of wild space setting, and I really liked the concept of the Rookie in that one, and I decided to bring it over here. What is the Rookie's despair move?
despair move is when I fall into despair, I describe a lesson that I've learned and apply it to my current struggle. It works. It really works. Reset your despair.
Okay.
That's how
Yeah. Yeah, they all do the same thing where you reset your despair and gain your bounty. So yeah, you get to learn things as you go and use those things that you've learned. Cool. All right, we're chugging along at a good pace. Let's go ahead and talk about your pikes, the machines that you made. There's a lot of detail here. I don't think we necessarily need to get into all of it. I think what I'll have you guys do is tell me the name of your pike. Give me like a brief description of what do you think it looks like, kind of if you've got an idea of that, and give me an idea of what the upgrades that you put in it, and then what the special skill is. So I'll just prime people here for a little bit of how these work. All the characters follow the same pike creation prompts, unless I think the rookie class actually has something that they can modify that with if they chose it. But since you didn't, everybody here will be following the same thing. So you come up with your name, you come up with its code designation, its description. All the pikes have some standard weaponry, and then they can choose one of 5 like frames, which kind of decides its base starting stats. Then they get to choose 2 upgrades to sort of tweak those so they can have kind of augment it to be where they want it. But each one of those upgrades comes with a benefit and a cost. And then they get a special trick, which I've outlined a couple here. There are 5 that are in the book that kind of gives you an idea of what they're supposed to be, but they're basically something intangible, something that you can just totally make up. Some examples in the book being due to sophisticated program, my machine comes when called, or I have an unbreakable bond with my machine and only I can operate it. There's an option that you can just write your own and work with the GM. And if you guys had one that you wanted to write, I don't remember if some of you guys that had make your characters before that we had come up with one. But yeah, let's go over those things. So yeah, name, brief description, what upgrades you took, and the special trick. And we'll go in the same order. So Alex, go first.
So Mark, and I guess I didn't talk about him too much in terms of his actual backstory stuff, was a former test pilot for either the military or the Ritter group, and at one point was working on a new stealth-based pike and decided, hey, I'm just gonna take off with this and make it mine. So his pike is the Midnight Stalker. I think it mostly defaults to just like a matte black, but its special trick is it has stealth capabilities. So I'm wondering if maybe part of that is it might have this special chromatic element to it and allows it kind of a chameleon effect. Perhaps, some radar avoidance systems, things like that. We haven't exactly nailed down what the stealth capabilities are, but that is its special trick. It is the beta model. I think it's alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, or something. But so no armor, but it does have 1 barrier or shield. Then it has big bonus to speed, not so much firepower, and has a bonus to handling. Then the upgrades I gave it are, it does have a long range lance rifle, which does kinetic damage, and then has a close range fusion sword.
Nice. Okay, you went with the rifle and the lance rifle and fusion sword?
Yep.
Perfect. All right. Okay. Who did I have next?
Me.
All right, go for it.
Okay, so I have my frame is the Mercury Coda, the MC03. It was a different experimental item because guess what? Someone stole the other one. So obviously working a bit more mechanically, less as a pilot on that. Sadly, major issues may have sort of exploded internally. And so it sort of just shows up as pretty much permanently burnt. Imagine something that you sort of threw through the fire, took back out of the fire, then lit in fire on the inside. So I mean, there's always a constant low frame of a little bit of sparking or burning, or no matter how much you try to clean it, it's probably not. As for what it is, though, it is what is considered a Zeta frame, and so it has terrible speed and power, but the handling is exceptionally high, and it does possess some armor and barrier. So it can survive things such as exploding, and it can move, just not fast. The other effects I've applied to it is it has advanced CNET, so again, it has a far more intrusive connected system, so it decreases the power, increases that handling even further, but provides immediate pilot feedback to any effects that happen to it. And then it also has a long-range lance rifle as well.
Nice. All right, Titania.
That's me. My pike is called Harpy, code designation TN22, formerly known as the Titanium Harpy, but we'll get to that in a second. It I think is a smaller on the side of pikes as far as pikes go. It's a little bit smaller. It's small, sleek. It's a very fast machine. And on the outside, I think it is painted up in these like bright sort of metallic colors, like purples and greens and stuff. And I think it's got her big like branded name on the side of it. But if you get up close to it, and especially on the inside, not all of it is new. It's actually like a very old machine that has been slowly upgraded over time. So it's still got some of that really old stuff kind of crammed into it. Let's see. What else do I have? One of my upgrades is, I don't remember which one it is the CNET. So I get a +1 to handling by sacrificing. -1 to my power, so it's very fast and it handles great. Everything else is sort of flat on this Delta model. And I added an ion cannon to the side of it,
Nice.
which is a long-range energy weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I should say my other stuff. Yeah, pew pew. She has changed the name of it since she came to own it. The bond I have with my pike is I won my mech on a dare, and I used every penny I could. Win after that to upgrade it, because my mech's special trick is my mech is famous. Everybody knows the war hero who owned it, and now they know the pilot who gave it a second life.
Nice. And then Root, what was your pike special trick? I didn't write it. I either missed.
Oh, right. The special trick there was it is long-range communications. I speak to it. It speaks to me. I have the MC in my ear at all times.
Nice. All right. And then last is Cisco.
All right. So what I've got, I got the Coyote Zero, is the name of my mech. CZ09. It's a Delta class, so fast. Let's see. I added boost thrusters to it, so even more fast. And I got an ion cannon on it. So it's fast.
You're feeling the need.
I think our characters are going to get along very well.
So, yeah.
The special trick.
Special trick. Well, I don't know if it's so much of a trick as much as the machine's AI is malfunctioning. So sometimes it talks back.
Oh shit! I knew somebody was gonna pick this. Now I have to role play as the.
Well,
fucking machine.
I've got an idea for it, which
Do you?
I'll DM
Send it to
chat
me if you got an idea, and I'll gladly play it.
Okay. All right. Done.
I'm complaining more. I love this. I love that idea. So perfect. It sounds like we've got 4 very different and very interesting machines I can't wait to see in play.
And none of us are super good at fighting, huh?
No, you guys really don't have a fighting crew, but I think it'll be okay.
Can't
You
shoot
guys
what they
took-
can't catch.
You guys did take some good weapons, so
So what makes something fighting or not? Like
so power would be the fighting because
okay.
the moves that if you look at the pike moves, and we'll get into this for everybody that's out there, but the exchange fire move when you are dealing damage, kind of directly engaging in combat, that's plus power. Not to say you guys can't come up with creative ways and like put yourself in good situations. The good thing I tried to balance with the moves here is that you can use some of the other moves to set yourself up to get the drop on somebody and get a good shot on them. So nobody seems to have like a super tanky build to just like stand there and just open fire on people, but I think it'll still be interesting nonetheless.
My pike has no negative stats, which I'm happy about.
That's great. That is good to know. Perfect. And I will ask you guys, because I don't really have like intricate notes on your guys' abilities and your special tricks and some of the tags and stuff. Try to keep those in mind, because the more that you guys can enforce your tags, the more it gives me gives a good like narrative flavor to it, and we can impose some real interesting consequences rather than just like damage and harm and stuff like that. Cool. Well, without any further stalling, I think we should get this party underway. Just reading that message real quick. Okay. Change our music. And we will get started. Space. The fun. That's not where I'm starting this. Galactic calendar year 530. The conflict between the juggernaut military force of the Andromeda League continues to rout the resistance efforts of the Terran Independence Union in retaliation of the assassination of Duke Coleman. My cat decided to use the litter box at this exact moment, and the
Plop.
The engine is malfunctioning on the ship that nobody's on right now, but we'll get to that in a second. Meanwhile, the resistance forces flock to the alloy fields, the lawless frontier of the Pagana system outside the reaches of the League, where Reagan Alzara, self-proclaimed leader of the resistance and founder of the Carbon Banner, calls upon the oppressed and the outcast to unify against the aristocracy. You, soldiers, opportunists, pilots, you find yourselves on Gamma 17, a resistance outpost on the inner ring of the alloy fields, in Hangar 45, where you find yourselves in an unprecedented situation. 4 Pike pilots under one roof, hired for a single job. The pay? 10,000 credits each, a small fortune to most in your position. The job? Freighter ship escort. The details have been scarce, not uncommon for a resistance operation, but the circumstances of this employment have filled you with unease. And that's where we sort of come into here in this massive hangar bay. We see 4 huge machines currently docked in this bay, strapped into these big metal sort of holding containers. One a midnight black, another one that looks burned and scorched with battle damage, a third brightly colored, smaller than the rest, and the last one, whom I'm sorry, Ryan, I forgot to write down the color description.
Oh, I didn't say it.
I don't think you did.
I didn't know. Like a weathered yellow jacket.
A weathered yellow jacket. Okay, and the last a degraded yellow color, and the 4 of you are mulling near your machines, eyeing the other 3, the competition. I don't know if any of you have had any run-ins with each other that you want to improv.
No, I think these people probably know who I am, though.
That's true. Your
I'm
machine
super
is famous, so I think it is. One of them is immediately recognizable, the Harpy. The others, maybe not so much. Maybe you've had your run-ins in the past, but you all find yourselves on the same job here. And as you are waiting around and have been here for a couple hours, getting refueled, any repairs you might need, the hangar bay doors crack open, revealing a bluish tinted light from the current dome that encapsulates the hangar and the rest of the base here, from the harmful rays of the twin suns of the Begana system. You see a small group of militant-looking individuals walking in, about 7 of them, following the lead of a short, red-haired woman with wearing a yellow, sort of beat-up leather jacket, and she comes very confidently walking into the room as if she owns the place, sizing up the machines and walking to the dead center of the room and giving a curt whistle. And she says, "All right, now, who owns these big fuckers?"
Don't even know who you hired.
Looks over at you. What does Mark look like?
Mark is in his late 30s, early 40s, but still keeps in good shape. Ex-military, close cropped hair, starting to get just slightly salt and peppered. He's in his combat fatigues right now, which it's actually in a shade of black. Those of you who don't know, it just seems like he's a real big fan of black. But holds himself with a bearing of, just always ready for, like, okay, we're on a mission. Why are we just standing around here? We should be doing something. But yeah.
She cuts back at you and says, "I bet you're the owner of that one there. That would make you Mark, correct?"
That's me.
Yeah, I have your names. I just don't have your faces. The other 3?
Well, this one's mine.
I should have known. I do know you. And she points your way, Tatiana. She says, "You come over here as well." What does Tatiana look like?
Well, that's not how you say it.
Sorry, Titania. God, I'm gonna do that.
You can
like
call her
million
Sophia.
times.
I gave her a real name.
What does Sophia look like?
Just for your purposes. She is pretty young, probably mid-20s. She has really light, almost like bleached blonde hair, really long, that's pulled up in a high ponytail, freckles, and this like tanned, almost in places like a little bit sun damaged skin. She is wearing a super sweet, slick brown leather jacket with a bunch of zippers and a popped up collar and a tank top and jeans and boots.
It's muted in the wrong place. All right. She approaches. The other 2 of you come up as well.
I think Cisco kind of like pushes himself forward, kind of stands at attention with a thing that probably isn't a salute, wearing sort of dated formal clothes. It really looks like he put in an effort to try to look nice, with this kind of dark, like thick dark hair, but kind of swept back with some kind of pomade that he's using, but like a little bit like a darker skin, a whisper of a mustache, but one that he seems to be very proud of, and kind of stands at attention. Cisco Ortega reporting for duty.
You're not being conscripted here, son. You don't have to salute. I appreciate the enthusiasm, though, so you can stand down for now.
Yeah, of course.
By process of elimination, that makes me Root. Root will go ahead and step forward. He looks like he's probably wearing a graphics tee, but it's hard to tell since it's most likely inside out. He has a messenger bag, and he appears to have been paying some attention if he actually looked away from the communication device in his hand, which he was doing nothing at, just staring at. But he does walk forward, pockets that. Yes, I believe if nothing has changed, I am Root.
God damn it, the I am Root is going to make me giggle every time.
Yes.
She says, that checks out. All right, I'm Captain Trist. You're going to be working for me for the next, hopefully next few days at the very least. We're ready to get loaded up now. I'll give you I'll brief you on the mission once we're in the air. I assume your ships or your vessels here are in order.
Ready and waiting, Captain.
It's always in order. You just never know which order. Also, what air? I thought we were flying in space.
You and I don't know if we're going to get along here, son.
I thought we were going the same way. Pretty
She
sure
just
that's
turns
what the
away from
job
Root
was.
at this point. Gives a nod to Cisco and Mark, and then begins to turn to leave unless anybody is gonna ask any questions or wants to say anything else.
I assume we've, by this point, been roughly briefed on what the mission is.
All you know right now is that you have an escort job that you're going through. You haven't been told anything else yet.
So an escort job, pretty exciting stuff, right?
Yes.
I guess.
It's like watching a baby.
I have heard that.
Many people take candies from them. Very dangerous. Anyway, you, with the very shiny ship, you are very famous. I've seen you. Very interesting. Nice to meet you.
Oh, it's always nice to meet a fan.
And you are in black. Who are you, third person?
I'm the one who, I guess, is going to be doing most of the work on this mission.
Excellent.
Now, what's that supposed to mean?
That means less work for us, because he has volunteered.
I like you.
Hope you all can pull your weight. I've seen you, you do fancy tricks and stuff, but don't know how good you are in actual combat. You two have, you're unknowns at this point.
I'm good enough to make enough money to keep up that ship, so
Think there's gonna be combat?
there might always be combat.
I would say we
You
are good
must
enough to be
new
hired.
this.
But this fellow here, who is very new and young and still saluting, I think he has been recruited as well, which bodes poorly for the rest of us.
Now listen, we gotta
More
give a
bodies
rookie.
are good.
We gotta give a rookie a shot.
Of course. I will stand behind the gun.
How's your ship run, Rook?
It runs real good, ma'am.
I like you too. I look at Mark. You, not so much.
Don't need to like me to get the job done.
There's a lot of dislike happening within this group,
I would say there's very little, Root.
but it has happened with whoever that person who left. Anyway,
Well,
Well, Young and Cisco, as long as you keep cool head out there, don't get shot in the back, you should be fine.
Yes, sir. I'll handle it much better than I'm handling this repartee.
I sure hope so.
you'll learn.
The four of you are, I'm imagining, are being to make your way out of the hangar as your the top or the ceiling, the roof of the, I can't think of words right now, of the hangar begins to creak open as the mechanisms and the machines begin to drive the engines forward. I I am so just like flustered right now by the I am root thing that I cannot think of anything else.
We could talk for another like 5
The
minutes.
ceiling
probably,
opens
if you need
up,
us to.
and the cranes begin to lift
No, I'm kidding.
your respective pikes out of the building as they are loaded into the freighter vessel that you are going to be escorting. And you see the ship as you leave, this massive vessel, both in tag and scale. You see a red freighter ship, a big, cumbersome machine that is currently docked at the bank across the landing pad from you, probably spanning almost 200 feet, 300 feet from end to end. The bay doors are currently open. You can see crates and containers being wheeled in through these forklifts, and your shifts are beginning to be sort of dragged or lifted across this this field towards the ship to be loaded in as well. And on the side of the ship in big golden letters, you see the Eris. It's ERIS. You all embark on the ship, making your way, throwing things down. You're designated to your respective quarters that you're given on the vessel, away from the common crew quarters. I'm imagining that a couple of you are going to have to bunk up, as there's not a whole lot of passenger space on the ship. It seems to be almost near capacity, but you all I imagine most of you maintain look on your pike or look out on your pikes as they're loaded in to make sure that they're handled properly.
If we're sharing rooms, I call Cisco.
But who you room with?
Also, as you come in, your pikes are loaded in the main sort of hangar area or the loading bay area of the Eris, and there's stacks and stacks of other cargo that are piled up alongside them, and you watch as some of the crew actually takes huge like tarps and actually drapes them over your pikes to sort of obfuscate them.
Before they're all covered up, Cisco just gives a tap of like the foot of Coyote's ear and say, "Don't worry, brother. I'll be back soon."
Now, y'all made sure those aren't going to take the paint off, right?
Two things happen at that moment. I think as you do this, Cisco, there's just like from the cockpit, there's like the whole machine kind of rumbles for a second. The cockpit kind of lights up just faintly from the interior, and giving one of the technicians that's currently loading it in and strapping it down kind of stops for a second, like bangs on it twice, just like making sure it's actually powered off, and looks down at you before shaking his head and going back to fastening down the tarp. And as you say that, Sophia, a broad-shouldered but shorter man with a shaved head or balding, you're not really sure, and very weathered, wrinkled, and tan skin, probably in his late 50s, early 60s, but with the muscular density of a much younger man, says, "I take it you're the owner of this one." Motions back to the Harpy.
That's me.
Yeah, you're going to be taken care of just fine here. Captain Triss gave us strict orders to make sure everything was fastened down and stowed away best we could.
Right. It's an expensive paint job.
Yeah.
And it's branded, so.
I promise we're going to... I'm maintenance officer on the ship, and we're going to take good care of your machines here.
All right.
Me and my tech here, and you see another taller but thin young man with long blonde hair that is currently pulled back into a ponytail, wearing his leather sort of workman's jacket and gloves. Kind of goes, huh? And he knocks over a small box of tools that can scatter across the ground. He says, I'll get that. And he goes back and starts like picking those up and loading those. And the officer goes, God damn it, Cedric! What did I tell you? Just put those. Anyway, I'm Kayan, maintenance officer. If you need anything, just come find me.
All right.
He says, before I forget, Captain wanted to see you on the bridge as soon as you were on board and stowed away.
All right. Well, let's go, I guess. Come on, team.
Everyone just stands there, 5 seconds of silence. Cam walks
I was just
away.
waiting. I think Sophia was just waiting for Mark to be bossy, and then when he wasn't, she was bossy.
No, Mark is keeping very close watch and waiting to see where's his pipe going to be put in its final place.
Yeah, you see, I mean, it's hard to miss. They are the biggest machines in this bay. They're just covered with these tarps to hide them in some fashion. So anyway, yeah,
But,
it's very easy. There are 4 very large things in this room.
Cisco is like, is there a latrine on the way to the captain's the meeting room?
I think Kaya has walked off, but Cedric, who's picking up the tools, kind of looks up and says, yeah, it's actually, if you just go down this hall and then up the ladder and then take a right and then a left, it'll be at the end of that hall.
Okay, wish me luck.
I should have made that go on for longer to make him wait. Anyway, the other 3 of you without Cisco head towards the bridge.
Yep.
Okay. As you do, you feel you get about halfway there following directions and some very faded signs that are positioned throughout the interior of the labyrinthian passageways of this ship. As you get about halfway there is a shutter and you feel the engines kick on as if the ship is lifting off. And not long after that, you reach the bridge. A large kind of circular room. There's a big sort of map. What am I looking for? Like holograph in the center, or hologram in the center of the room, indicating the current asteroid field you're in, with the navigator sitting at a small like kiosk just off of that. There's a few other panels in the room occupied by 4 other officers that are helping to navigate the vessel, and then standing near the large panel of windows that sort of half encircles the room, and Cisco comes running in through the door, only slightly late to your meeting. You see the Captain Trist, who is looking out the window, and you can see the ground slowly disappearing as the ship is the engines have kicked on, and you're beginning to lift off of the landing bay. And the ship passes through the shielding, the barrier that encompasses or isolates this base from the cold reaches of space, and the gravity engines kick on, and the ship begins to orient itself and leave the small gravitational field of this asteroid. And as soon as I have to deal with a cat for just 1 second. Let me go deal with that super quick.
All right, Tex, you made it back on time.
Did you find it?
Yes, sir.
You know you don't have to call all of us sir and ma'am, right? Same team.
Of course, ma'am, sir, ma'am.
Sophie is fine. I mean, you can call me sir if you want, but...
Okay. Sophia.
You got it.
This is Sophia.
Oh god, that's so much worse.
Captain Trist turns away from the windows and back towards the four of you and says, "All right, I suppose it's time to clue you in on the mission here." And she motions you over towards the map hologram at the center of the room. She says, "Sorry for all the cloak and dagger sort of nonsense here, but we couldn't have anybody know what the mission was going to be until we left port. Loose lips and all that. Obviously, you know who you've been hired by, and you know what the pay is here, so you know the mission is pretty important. We are currently transporting some supplies to our forces on Terra Prime. We don't have any other backup here, no escort to speak of, so we can move uninhibited and try to be as inconspicuous as possible. That's why you've been hired. You can transport your vessels in the cargo hold and deploy as needed, but hopefully it won't come to that. Hopefully we'll have a smooth journey, get through customs without any problem, and y'all making an easy few credits out of all of this."
Can I try to roll a beginner's luck thing?
Sure.
If this applies. So here's what I'm like. So she's talking about like we're not going with escort because we want to be inconspicuous, and then she puts 4 pikes in her thing to try to get through customs, to try to not rouse suspicion. Basically, because I'm not exactly very familiar with the like custom laws and all that stuff like that, I was just going to see if I could try to roll and find out what's at stake here.
Okay, so more like knowledge that you're not familiar with, and see if there's any. Okay, yeah, that's fair.
All right. It's plus luck, so 8. So on a 7 and 9, I ask 1. So here's what I'm gonna ask. Like basically, what's the worst that can happen? Like what is at stake here?
Okay. So if you are transporting supplies for a resistance group and you are caught going through customs, I think from your time in the system and any jobs that Cisco might have run beforehand, you've probably heard a little bit of what's happened to resistance or fighters that have been apprehended. Usually they are given a trial in sort of a kangaroo court, just for the purpose of putting on a show, and summarily executed. So the worst that can happen is if you are caught transporting illicit cargo or aiding the resistance, you would be convicted for treason and executed publicly.
Oh. I don't think he reacts out loud, but does seem a little bit more solemn.
Okay. I think you do get +1 forward to use that information if you need to at any point.
I don't know how I can, but if
it may come up.
It may come out. Who knows?
She kind of looks over the 4 of you. She says, "I assume you understand the gravity of the situation and the need for anonymity."
These supplies that we're sending out, for people that really need them?
I say so. The League has done a lot over the past few months, specifically to rout out any of our people still left on planet side. Not many of them left. Kind of low on food, water, and other essentials, ammo. So if there's any hope in keeping a foothold on Terra Prime, this is it.
well, then you can count on me.
Again, the solution doesn't really need to happen. I'd actually rather it. No, if you're going to take orders, I order you not to salute me again.
Yeah, your arm's gonna get tired. You're gonna need that for flying.
Aye, aye.
So who all knows we're coming on Terra Prime's end?
Should be just the one base that we're going to be delivering our supplies to, and a few select customs officers that we've persuaded to look the other way. They don't know what we're carrying or the reason why. The Ares has done its fair bit of smuggling in the past. I don't necessarily know that we have the strongest affiliation with the Resistance or the Carbon Banner. So hopefully none of the League patrols will look twice at us. Been pretty good
the
at
ship isn't specifically a resistance ship. It's more general smuggling that has been contracted by the resistance. Yeah. Okay. So it's not like we are throwing in our lot with the resistance by doing this.
Not necessarily. They are doing a job for the resistance right now. You know that your money is coming from the resistance, but
gotcha.
Yeah, the ship isn't like a resistance ship per se.
Okay.
Hence the reasons for not having a bunch of fighter ships hovering about and making a big show of all this. This is pretty much a regular week for us here on the Ares.
We'll see. With no fighter escort, might be some stupid pirates thinking we'd be an easy mark.
Aye, that's always the place, but normally they'd hit us pretty close after leaving, so hopefully, and at that exact moment, there is a small alarm that begins to go off, and one of the officers turns from their station and says, "Captain, we've got some unidentified objects approaching on radar."
I hate when I'm right.
I believe Marx has jinxed it.
I think it's time to go, boys. Woo!
I don't believe in luck, good or bad. Let's get down there and scare these buzzards off.
I'll make sure they're ready for you down there. See what you can do. And she runs over to the comm systems, and you begin, as the four of you go running down the passageways, you hear Captain Trist's voice echoing over kind of the muted speaker intercom system, giving some orders for the cargo bay to have your machines ready. Anything anybody does before they load up?
I just like the image of, as I'm running, kind of like trying to put on my flight suit, like taking off the formal wear that's like this old, like, and trying to like switch it to like you know, on the way. I don't know if we even wear flight suits for these ships, but I imagine something like that.
I'm down with flight suits. I mean, you guys can wear whatever you want. I'd imagine most pilots wear flight suits in there.
Okay, so I think like I've had this, like, I guess, backpack this whole time. I'm like kind of like switching out like flight suit and like kind of like bouncing around and like getting dressed as I'm running.
I like it.
Sophie, I think, gets all of it super excited, just like roll pumped, ready to go. Suits up and gets ready, and right before getting in the ship, I think pulls out this like round gold medallion that she wears and just kisses it, tucks it back in,
all right,
and goes.
Root spends the entire time staring side-eyed at Cisco, just watching it happen.
I like the idea that you guys are coming down the ladders, and Cisco's trying to pull on one of his boots, and like full on just like trips and like face plants onto the graded walk path. We're just like walking behind, just watching the whole time. And eventually you all come busting out into the loading bay, where the tarps that were so just meticulously strapped down are now all ripped off of the machines, which have been wheeled out on the tracks they rest on towards the center of the room. and you all load into your machines. We get the class, all of you one by one, kind of climbing inside, and then the cockpit slamming down, and then in the pitch darkness, all the lights the sensors beginning to light up in your own customized way.
I'm curious, like, so as far as getting into the cockpits, what are ways that this happens? Like, do we go like climb up a ladder on a catwalk that's like right at the top? Did like they bend over a certain way? Is there an elevator?
I think that depends on you. I mean, some of you have more sophisticated machines that might have some options, like a pulley system or a small elevation system or rope that comes down. You stick your leg in, and then it retracts up. There would be catwalks because these are very tall machines, like I said, like 40 or 50 feet. So there would be catwalks that you would be running along. That was my sort of that goes more with the classic thing. But if you have something out of the ordinary that you think for your machine, that's fair.
I think I just like running across a catwalk, and it's like let's go, brother, and then I jump off, and kind of it opens up, and I get land in, it snaps shut after me, and I kind of strap myself in.
Okay, perfect.
Very Titanfall.
Yeah, exactly.
And you all loaded your machines, and the lights and displays come on, and we hear the roaring of the engines that come to life inside these ships as there are these power cores whir to life, and one by one you all step off of your the sort of holding frames that house, or the housing frames that hold your pikes, and step towards the back sort of loading area of the Ares, and there's a flashing red light, and the interior cargo bay doors begin to slide closed behind you.
Before the exterior ones open, Mark hits a switch, and the black just fades away and goes like that chameleon effect.
Yeah. So all the panels begin to light up, and each one with the cloaking technology on it. You see the Midnight Stalker begin to disappear. I think at your proximity, you guys can all see he's standing there, but it's almost like you're seeing through this distorted object in front of you. And then we go ahead and kick on some music. As the doors behind you finally slam shut, and there's this shuddering to the ship, that red light continues to blink, and then you watch as the back bay doors begin to opening out into the black void of space. You see a few stars in the distance, and then some small floating debris from the asteroid belt that you were leaving behind, kind of gently tumbling behind your ship in the distance. And you all one by one step out in your machines, and they all kick on to life, and then you come zooming out in your engaging your thrusters and gliding out into the void of space beyond, and very quickly your radars kick on, and you can see the giant blot of the Ares behind you or near you, and you catch the individual beacons, or the signals for the pilots or the unidentified fighters that are approaching, and you see there are two groups of them, two groups of 3 of these fighter ships, and they are approaching very quickly. What do you do?
All right, comms check 1-2, sending IFF tag. Midnight Stalker should be showing up on your radar now. I think just a blip appears, and suddenly there's an extra dot.
Roger that.
Interesting. Now, statistically, it appeared that most of your ships had been more prepared for speed. I'm assuming with your invisibility, you will wish to take a exterior role and fight. I'm assuming Titania would wish to take things on front and first forward. And Cisco, you are going to do something. I suppose I will attempt to provide long-range support, as I think that is what we are missing then.
I've also got long range, but can get up close for a hit and run if need be.
I can run or I can hit. I assume we are not leaving.
Sean, world question real quick. What kind of threat do these pirates represent to the freighter? Like is it do I think of like if they chip away at it for a long time, or is it like one missile could destroy the freighter?
No, it would be a sort of either chip away at it for a long time or get close enough where they can breach the vessel and board it.
Okay.
That tends to be these pirates don't typically work on from your knowledge of pirate vessels in the system, that they typically go for hit and runs of taking out the crew on the inside rather than trying to deal with these massive ships themselves.
Okay. So this is what Cisco is going to do. Cisco is going to, in order to protect the cargo and the freighter, is going to assume that the quarry of a potential pike is more valuable than the question mark of whatever's in the freighter, and is going to try to lead the pirates away from the freighter. And it's going to take a pot shot at them and try to get their attention and kind of zoom off away from the freighter.
Okay. Is there a move you're angling towards here?
No. I mean, I guess it could be provoke. Actually, that was a move, right?
That is a move. Yeah, provoke would definitely work here. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
Okay. Cool. I do not.
And I'm going to count these I'm going to count each squadron as its own unit. So essentially, you're engaging one of the squadrons and trying to lure them.
All
off.
right, I'll engage the left one.
Okay, sure.
Oh, that's good. I have 8 for me.
8. Okay.
So basically,
yeah. When you try to provoke or manipulate someone to do what you want, make them an offer and roll plus skill. Your offer being a pike, which is pretty valuable and rare. They take on a 10 plus, they take the bait and do what you ask. On a 7 to 9, they counter. You have to sweeten the pot for them to go along. So you see Cisco kind of strafe near the incoming squadron of these 3 pirate vessels. You can see they're all very dark ships. They don't have cloaking, but they're just the paint exterior is dark to try to get them to blend in. Otherwise, they are smaller, definitely, than you vessels. I think they would be considered one category or size category smaller than your current your ships, your pikes, but they're quick, they're speedy, and they kind of, you see one of them kind of strafe off to go after the Cisco's pike, but the other 2 don't seem to see. They don't seem fully committed into chasing his vessel unless Cisco or somebody else has something they want to do to help this situation.
This is similar to what I was gonna do, so I'm gonna zoom as soon as everybody stops talking. I think Sophie's just sitting in her seat okay, let's go, okay, we're going, let's go. And spaceship. And starts zooming off. I think follows Cisco for a little bit, and then whichever direction he goes kind of cuts off the other way. And I want to take a shot with my cannon that I have.
Okay. So you're essentially aiding. So what I will add this is you're aiding with the provoke in giving that sweeten the pot. There's not a roll for it or anything, but I will count this as the rest of the completion of Cisco's move as he goes zooming off. And Titania, you also go shooting off in that direction, and then you want to take a shot as you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so this would be an exchange fire. So I need you to roll plus power.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Also, a music stop, Sean.
Oh, I can still hear it.
It's still going on mine. It's just a little quiet.
It's a 9.
Now it's back.
It's a 9. So on a 7 to 9, you deal your damage to the enemy, and the enemy returns fire on you. So what is your damage?
It is cannon 2 damage.
2 damage, and all right, you are a size larger, so that's going to be increased by 1. So you're going to be at 3 damage. They don't have any barrier. So I think what happens here then is that so the 3 fighters come after you, open fire with your pulse, your ion cannon, and the ion blast strikes the the one of the lead fighter, and it kind of goes spinning off in an odd direction, and then collides with one of the nearby floating rocks, and just sort of breaks apart. It is just detonates on impact. The other two go very quickly following after you, realizing the danger, and fire on you. They deal 2 harm or 2 damage, which would be reduced by 1 because you're a size larger. Do you have any armor?
On my pike? No.
No. Okay, so you take
So-
1 damage to your pike.
Okay, and okay, and that's separate from damage to me as a person, right? Or is it all the same?
That is damage. No, that is just damage to your pike.
Okay.
The only time you take damage is if it carries, if your pike is reduced to
How do I know how much damage my pike can
Yeah.
take?
6.
6, great.
All machines can take 6
Great.
points of damage.
Got it.
People can only take 3 until they die.
I thought it was 4. Oh god.
Well, the 4th one you die.
Oh, on the 4th and you die. Got it. Got it, Chief. Yeah, I think Sophia leaves her comms open, and so anytime she's doing anything, there's just a lot of like shouting happening.
Okay, so that is Cisco and Titania. That might be a little bit loud. I was turning it up a little bit. Let's go right there. What are Mark and Root doing?
So I think Mark is trying to position. Has probably like actually not gone that far out from the freighter, and it's just like positioned himself maybe just on top of the cargo door, and is pulling out the lance rifle and sighting down at one of the people chasing either Titania or Cisco at this point.
Okay, perfect. So you turn towards the remaining 2 ships that are closely following those 2. All right. So
I'm trying to decide because I don't think there's a clear mechanical benefit from the stealth, but there is the destroy something move.
there is, and I think that's kind of what I was thinking about here. The only thing I was considering. So here's what I'm going to give you for your stealth. You're going to be able to take 1 shot as a destroy something. After that point, they're going to know where you're at until you either evade or do something to reposition.
Sure.
So
I will go ahead and read this for the chat. When you attack a defenseless or vulnerable foe with your machine, ask your GM if you could miss. If you could, treat it as exchanging fire. If the answer is no, inflict damage.
yeah,
So,
I think at this point they're not aware of you. You are on a stable position right now. You have the time and the focus to target them. So I don't think
Yep.
you could miss right here.
yeah.
So what is your damage?
The lance rifle does 3 kinetic, and then since I'm large, I assume that bumps
You
it up
take-
to 4.
Yeah, that'll be 4 points kinetic damage. They do have 1 armor, so just to 3, but that's still enough to take out that second one of those fighter ships that are currently dogging Titania and Cisco, leaving 1 remaining. Root, is there? And as you fire, you see that other squadron kind of does a flyby of the back of the ship. They were coming in pretty close to kind of get an idea of the ship's defenses, and they come pretty close to you as you're shooting, and they begin to circle around back towards the open cargo bay door. So you gather they know where you're at. Root, what are you doing?
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just drop into my move, Ghost in the Shell already.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna go ahead, just like settle into my chair, lean back, and just close my eyes and just sort of be in my ship.
Okay.
And so for as long as I'm occupying the machine, I'm replacing one of the attributes with my pilot's mind. In this case, I'm going to replace my power with my mind.
Okay. All right. And that's not when you roll for anything. That's just you get to decide to do that, or
I just get to do it, but then I do also choose 1 negative effect for the duration.
all right. And what is that negative effect?
I think for this particular combat encounter, we're just going for straight backlash. When my machine takes damage, I take 1 damage.
Okay. Good to know. And that the way that works, it's not a 1-for-1 thing. Is that like if your machine takes 3 damage, you still only take 1. So don't get hit more than 3 times. All right, so Root settles in, and you can see as like I think those of you that have any visual on Root right now, as his ship is kind of drifting behind and taking in everything, you watch as I think you can tell like the ships don't move totally like humans would because they are being piloted. Suddenly his takes on a much more fluid movement, and it seems to move so much more sophisticated and human-like than you would typically expect from a pike. All right, so what happens then is the 3 ships that are kind of strafing around come around to the back of the ship, and you watch as the 3 begin to open fire on the bay door that Mark is currently standing at. The other one that is behind Titania and Cisco, I don't think is super thrilled with being alone at this point. I actually think they disengage and they drop back to regroup with the other squadron. So those are the 2 actions that are going on right now. You have immediate danger being placed on Mark as they are opening fire, and one of them is trying to bolster the ranks of the other squadron. What do you guys do? I'll open up to Titania and Cisco first.
Well, seeing them opening fire on the bay doors of the freighter, I'm just gonna quickly try to whip around, which it's kind of sluggish for me, but like with the speed going too fast, like whip around and then pull up my ion cannon and try to take a shot at one of the ones opening fire.
Okay. So that's gonna be an exchange fire then. So go ahead and roll power.
Barely. 7.
7. Okay. 7-9, you deal your damage to the enemy, and the enemy returns fire on you. So I think what happens, I'm going to play around with this a little bit. So what's your damage?
2 with the 2 energy.
2 energy. Okay. So that'd be 3 energy. So yeah, I think you fire at one of the 3 that's currently engaging with Mark, and from your distance, and they are not currently focused on you. The last they saw you were taking off in another direction. You'd make this quick 180 maneuver and take your shot. It hits the rearmost fighter in the squadron. It kind of goes spinning out before kind of going drifting back out into the void of space, disabled. The other 3 don't turn around necessarily, but I do think, because it is Cisco and he's not, I don't think, the most battle hardened here, I think you're not really focusing as you take the shot, and then there is one of the nearby kind of space debris it just comes out and just whacks right into the side of your ship, causing you to spin out for a bit. I'm going to say that's going to be that would be 2 kinetic harm. Do you have any armor?
Nope.
Okay, so you take 2 harm.
Okay.
All right. Titania, did you do something? I don't remember if you... Okay.
Yeah, as that's happening, I think I'm gonna loop back around, do a barrel roll, and head back towards the ship and try to fire at one of the remaining ships with my ion cannon.
Okay.
From far away, but
go ahead and exchange fire.
It's a 10.
Okay. On 10, you deal damage and avoid enemy fire. You do fire on one of the remaining fighter ships, the pirate vessels, and with the damage you did before, that would still be enough to destroy one of them, leaving only the 2 remaining. Okay. The other 2 that are approaching, I think the one that was kind of peeling off is now regrouped. So there's only 2 left. They are going to commit to what they're doing, though, and they begin to open fire on the bay. Mark, what do you do?
Yeah, so I think I would like to use my Never Tell Me the Odds, and the risky action I'm going to take is just firing up my fusion sword and just charging straight between them.
Okay.
Trying to take at least 1 out on my way through.
I like it. You're going to have to remind me of what Never Tell Me the Odds does.
So when you take a risky action without considering or preparing for the danger roll plus skill, on a hit you do it. On the 10 plus 1, or on the 10 plus I choose 1. On the 7 to 9 choose 2.
Okay. Yeah, go on a roll.
That is a 9.
Okay, so mixed success. What do you choose?
So I'm gonna choose. I've got company, and I think I take a big hit.
Okay. So I think here's what happens here. What's the damage on your fusion sword?
That is 2 energy. Or
2 energy.
Whatever the energy.
Okay, so they would take 3 energy. So yeah, I think what happens is I like this. Okay, so what happens is you go like leaping forward, and you see this quasi invisible pike suddenly kind of materialize a bit more. This black shape outlined by this fusion sword, which then lights up. What color do you imagine the sword being?
I think it's probably. Yeah, I think if the fusion sword. I want to say it's that thing you see often in anime of like it's a black glow, like he has somehow managed to get it to be
like a dark kind of purple, like it just barely like black with this like outline of purple on it. Yeah, I love it. And you leap forward and you slash downwards on at the one of the ships. The other one does open fire on you, and they're point blank range. I think that would be I think it would be 3 kinetic. It would be, we're gonna go 2 kinetic because you're still a size larger. So if you have any armor, you can reduce it.
Pike does not have armor. I have barrier.
Okay, so you take 2 harm from that, or 2 damage from that. And you slash at the one, and the ship it kind of glows from him with just like the line straight down the center as you pass behind it. And we see this slight precursor like explosion off the top of it, and then the whole ship kind of erupts into flames, and like the sparks down the center, and the whole thing explodes. However, you watch, I think Root, you see this, there is from that first explosion, there is like a pod that comes shooting out. The pilot did engage the escape pod, and it comes kind of jettisoned through the air and spins a little bit, and then it the escape pod, I think, impacts Mark's pike in the back, and you see the pirate kind of climbing out of it, and is like climbing onto the back of Mark's currently in his flight suit, the space suit engage, and you see him pull out a plasma cutter and begin to try to breach into Mark's ship. So you still have one pirate fighter ship operational, and one pirate that is currently trying to hijack Mark's vessel. And Root, what do you do?
Well, I think Root was saying they're lining up the shot on that last fighter, but seeing this pilot pop out, just going to shift on over and going to take a shot, try to pick the pilot off the back of the ship.
Okay, this is going to be a real, if this don't go good, it don't go real good. Let's go ahead and roll to, yeah, I think this would just be another exchange fire.
That is a 10.
10, perfect. You pull out, what's the weapon you have again? Do you have the ion cannon, or do you have
it's the lance rifle.
The lance
3
rifle.
damage kinetic rifle.
Yeah, you pull out the gun and you aim, and I think, Mark, you turn at that moment and you see the Mercury Coda now aiming directly at you, and you stand there holding your sword. There's a moment of uncertainty. Everything kind of goes into bullet time, and the gun fires, and you get that explosion of kind of that muted fire from the vacuum of space on the front of the rifle, which is like a big, like 50 cal gun, and you watch as this massive shell comes careening through the air, and just at the last second, it barely misses the shoulder of your pike, and you just see this like splat that hits the side of your display, and yeah, you're not even sure. I don't think there was enough time for you to even realize the pirate was on you, but you do see the after effect of it, and you do see the gore currently splattered on the side of your machine.
One must never hesitate to squash bugs when one finds them.
I just want to say too, because that was 3 kinetic damage, and he's a person-sized object, so it's an additional 2 damage to him. So that's 5 damage in one hit. He's just like obliterated. There's like a shoe spinning through space.
He's just a goo now.
Yeah. All right, leaving the one pirate remaining, who I think just turns tail and starts to run away, kicking on the full thrusters, trying to get away as quickly as possible. Anything anybody does.
Mark's gonna try and shoot him down with the lance rifle.
Okay.
I don't know if this is another destroy something.
Can I try to help with but go for like a disable move, going for the thrusters?
Yes, you can certainly do that. I want to see one of those other moves in action. So you're doing the disable move from the pilot moves. Yeah. So roll plus fight.
That's real good. That's 11.
11, nice. So you're going for on a 10 plus. So disable when you target a vulnerable point on an enemy machine. Roll plus fight on a 10 plus. Choose one benefit from the list below to gain while engaging the enemy, and you're going for the thrusters.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So typically it'd be like ongoing debate, but I love the role play of this here, the fiction of this here with you firing and you have the
ion cannon.
The ion cannon, yeah. It strikes the back, and you see kind of kind of the whole thing begin to stutter, and it's just kind of like the sitting duck kind of hovering through the air for just a fraction of a second. And I think, Mark, that would be enough to count this as a attacking a defenseless or vulnerable foe. So in that exact moment, how do you describe what if Mark has any cool one-liners or anything it does here?
I think he just kind of is muttering mostly under his breath. Just like, "Oh, you poor bastards! You chose the wrong mark."
Oh my god. Y'all, be careful, because throwing up a null G is not great.
I've taken 1 mental damage.
I want to give you a bounty
was so
just for saying that. So the you fire, the bullet hits the center of the ship near where the engine is, just below the cockpit, and you see just like this part. We get the camera zoom out like through the perfect melted hole in the center of the ship, and then there's spark, and just detonates in this bluish, blue-white explosion, and you have murdered all of the pirates. Guys.
We have stood our ground with a lot of pirates.
I'm doing flips. Just out in space. Just doing flips. Robot flips.
Roll a stun on them.
Yes. What is that?
It's roll plus skill.
Skill.
Unless, don't you have the thing where you get to roll luck instead?
That's me.
No, that's not me.
I can
right.
use luck instead of skill for
Skill.
something.
8.
8. Okay. You do some cool stunts.
Yeah.
Not the coolest stunts you've ever done, but they're pretty cool.
Well, it's still early.
All right. And the 4 of you then hover. Some of you taking a little bit of damage. Some of you looking untouched. Some of you with just a little bit of gore splatter on the side of your ship. Come kind of slowly sort of gliding into the back of the Ares. The hangar door closes. The chamber pressurizes. That red light stops blinking, and the bay doors open up. You see a small, as you all kind of heavily walk into the loading bay, you can see the catwalks along the top, all the technicians and the maintenance workers and everyone standing up there, and you see a lot of them just cheering the 4 of you, having watched that and being very impressed by your displays of combat prowess. And we're gonna go and take a break.
Wait, can I say something dramatic?
Sorry. Yes.
They're all cheering and it's all very good, and we get out dramatically, but as the top of Sophia's mech opens, the hangar is just filled with music because she's just been blasting Danger Zone.
And okay, well, I can save this till after the break. But I'll say now. I've already interrupted anyway. I think Cisco, like when he gets out of the cockpit, he is not jubilant. He seems very concerned and like going over his pike, making sure, like, because it withstood damage, and he seems to be incredibly worried about that.
Okay. And with that, with all you get looking over the damage and talking to the operator, the technicians about repairs, and giving high fives, music playing throughout the hangar. Yeah, we're gonna go and take our break there, and we'll be back in a little bit to conclude this journey. And welcome back, Internet. We're here to continue our playtest of Carbon Banner, a Powered by the Apocalypse based tabletop game that I wrote, and these fools are helping me make better. So we kind of got through our first half here. I did want to kind of open up to you guys just like real quick at the very beginning if you guys have any questions or anything that we need to clarify before we continue.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I have something I want to do before we move on in character.
Okay.
So moves such as this move I have, Chump Change, which is when you size up a potential mark. And then lets you ask questions if you roll good. Can I use them on other players? You guys know what I'm going to ask.
You can't use them on Alex though because he's not a potential mark. He is a mark.
No, I don't want to use them on that mark. But so is that such a I guess I'm thinking of like other Powered by the Apocalypse systems that I'm familiar with, where you can use like manipulate or like read a person and stuff on other players.
Read me the rest of the move.
It is
just so
when you size up a potential mark, roll plus mind. On a 10 plus, ask 2. On a 7 to 9, ask 1. You gain +1 forward while acting on the answers. What do they have that I want? Where do they keep what's valuable to them? How can I lower their defenses? What gets them riled up? And how can I push them to blank?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can use that on a player.
Great. I mean, I want to do that, but I'll wait till everyone's done with questions.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about any mechanics or anything before we continue?
Mechanics, no.
Okay.
Well, I mean, this would come up kind of naturally, but what is the process for healing pike damage? Since
Yes.
a couple of us took some hits.
So there is the recuperate move, which is when you have sufficient time and safety, you can consume 1 ration to reduce your damage taken to your pilot or remove 1 condition. In addition, you can spend credits to repair your machine, reducing damage taken by 1 per 1,000 credits spent. You may forego spending credits to repair your machine if you have access to sufficient materials or an NPC is willing to take on your debt. For the sake of where you guys are right now in the on the ship and you're on a job, I am going to say that you have the sufficient materials that you would need to repair your pike. I think you've been hired to escort them to take the damage. The repairs were part of the deal. So
does flavor wise, does the pirate ships that we destroyed, was there scrap salvageable from any of that they could use, or is that mostly because we did hit them very hard?
You hit them very hard. I don't really think there was much salvageable from that situation.
It was a shoe.
There was a shoe. You have a shoe?
What's the weight on a shoe? One
In
weight
space,
for a
it's
shoe?
nothing.
Yes, 1 weight on a shoe. If you want to keep 1 pirate shoe.
I mean, physically it's not much, but emotionally,
The pirate shoe
That would be funny.
of destiny. Okay. Yeah, you can do that. So the only thing you guys are, I guess, the commodity that you guys are having to worry about right now or taking into consideration is time. So how many harm did everybody's pike end up with? So we had 2, 2, and 1, and 0. All right. So what I'm gonna let you guys do is everyone can erase 1 damage from their pike, except for Root.
Can't stock it away against future damage.
This is my anti-damage.
Yeah.
I have -1 harm right now.
It's coming in the 2.0 version. All right. Let's let's continue then. So you've all loaded up, or you've all disembarked from your vessels, gotten out of your flight suits. The bay here is hard at work. The technicians on repairing your ships. Those of you that are overseeing the repairs very directly. I mean, you guys I imagine most of you handle the repairs yourselves most of the time. You're all intimately familiar with the process of taking care of your vessel. It's sort of assumed with all the playbooks that you have the capability of repairing your own ship and adding upgrades and things like that. You've got crew here to help do that. You don't have to be as directly involved, though. Essentially, you've got some time on the ship to talk to whoever you want. You've got the captain on the bridge. You've got the technicians and the maintenance officers here. There are other people on the ship that haven't gotten names yet, I'm sure. And you got time to recover. Anything you guys want to do for the bit of time you have? Okay. Sophia?
Yes. So I my pike took less harm than everyone else's. So once those repairs are sort of underway and probably not taking as much time as everyone else's, I think Sophia has this like pulled up a like folding chair or something in between like where her pike is and where Cisco's mech is, and it's just sitting there just like eating chips or something and just like watching them.
Okay.
Well,
Can I
go ahead, roll.
Yeah, I want to use my move. I mean, I'll talk to him also, but
I think we'll do the move and then we can play out the scene sort of in fiction of how you get this information.
So when I size up a potential mark, not the mark, just a potential mark.
Marky Mark.
You could become Mark one day. Well, I rolled double sixes.
Oh shit.
+1, so 13.
Wow. Has anyone failed a roll yet?
Dang.
Negative.
Jeez. I'm gonna end up having to give somebody their despair move just out of
for fun.
Just so we can see it. I'll decide that in a little bit.
So I have on a 10 plus ask 2.
Okay.
Any plus before we're asking the answers. I want to know about Cisco. What gets them riled up?
Okay. Let's. I want to play out before you ask your second one. Is how this information comes out? Either like a description of, because you don't have to necessarily answer that question in the third person if you want to kind of say what Cisco does or what she might observe. That.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Not to get the other question too. Okay. So, what gets them riled up? I think it's pretty. So what you see as your pike has been fixed up. And you're just kind of observing. You see Cisco just kind of hovering. Like the other technicians are working on the Coyote Zero, and he's chipping in a little bit for the most part, but he's just like watching everybody like a hawk. And if it seems like anyone is just kind of like not exactly sure what they're doing, Cisco gets involved immediately and is like kind of snaps up on them. As far as like what gets Cisco riled up, it's like any perception of someone not taking the utmost care of this pike.
Okay.
And while like you know that like Cisco could walk away and let the technicians handle it, they're like capable enough, but Cisco's not leaving. Like he's been watching them the entire time.
Okay. I have one more question, which I'll ask in a second, but I think at that I will like approach him and like clap him probably a little hard on the shoulder.
He kind of like almost looks at you, but like doesn't break eye contact with watching the technicians.
Hey, good work out there.
Yeah, thanks.
Keep him away from the goods, right?
Right.
You're real protective of your machine, huh?
I think he flinches there for a second.
Yeah, I guess so.
Hey, I get it. It's almost like family, right?
He says nothing.
I'll ask the other question. How can I lower their defenses?
Oh God. I don't know this guy's personality enough to answer that question right this second. I'm gonna say you've kind of started to do it in what you've said so far. Gosh, I don't know that I can answer this question very well right now. Let me think. Can we move on to a different scene while I think about that?
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Mark and Root, do you have anything you want to do?
Similar to Cisco, Mark is very heavily overseeing the repairs, but for a slightly different reason. I think he'll see a technician going to do something just like, no, you're gonna screw it up, and it's like he's very much about because the stealth system is probably a fairly finely tuned setup, and it's worried that they don't have all the know-how to make sure it's not gonna glitch out on him in the middle of a mission, and is like, I think a technician starts to do something and Mark's like, no, that's not quite right, and will actually like push them out of the way and take the tool and start doing it himself. And I think eventually, like, there's still a few technicians hanging around, but it's maybe only like a couple of the more stoic ones who are able to put up with his personality.
Yeah, I think you very quickly chase away the some of the lower level, the newer ones, the younger guys, and then until I think it ends up just being you and the maintenance officer, Kayan, who you spoke to before, and most of the repairs have been finished at this point that they're going to be able to get to today, and it's just Kayan that's currently working on getting back one of your stealth panels back into place that they've completed the repairs on, and I think it's just the two of you, and you're kind of holding it in place and making sure everything is well connected, and he's currently tightening the bolts on. He says, you don't really seem like the other ones. You got any military training?
Yep. Former test pilot for Ritter, but
yeah, I should have been able to call it. I used to work for a little bit for the company myself back in the day. Actually, a lot of the boys here did.
I guess that explains why they didn't completely fuck up these repairs.
Yeah, I keep them. They've learned a thing or two along the way. It's a good piece of metal you got here.
State of the art when I took it off their hands.
I'd say so. Not many got this kind of technology hardwired in. Most of them go for the armor plating, but I can respect the what you got going here.
Didn't want to think what they could get up to, being able to use stealth technology against, maybe civilians someday, so took it before they could get any further in their research with it.
Fly, but with a heart of gold. Don't see that very
others.
often. We all got our secrets. Well, listen, if you, I respect your need to have things done right. If you need anything else done, we'll continue the repairs as we go and get everything up and functional again. I think that's just that one panel needs to be swapped out. Probably going to have some difficulties with the cloaking on that until we get it done, but we'll
Yeah,
we'll work
turns
on
out
that tomorrow.
space pirate blood doesn't play well with the chromoplating.
Yeah, there were some bits that we had to pull out of there that I didn't quite recognize. But listen, if you need anything else done, just let me know, and I'll make sure I get some guys on it that can do things the right way. Not that anyone here can, but anyway, have a good one. You just turned kind of an awkward end of the conversation as he doesn't seem a man of many words, and he turns around and sees Cedric that is currently moving one of the has one of the forklifts and is moving some of the cargo back into position. And he says, "Hey, you don't have that tied down. What are you doing, boy?" And he goes running back. He goes over to him and goes to yell off, kind of cuss out Cedric. Root, do you have anything? Or, I mean, if Mark, if you have anything else, you can do it. But
I think Root, seeing the crowd, seeing how everyone's moved, seeing Cisco's watching his pike, Mark is very much on his pike, and Sophia has sort of gone over to converse with Cisco. He's just going to go very slowly, open-handed, and sort of walk over and from a distance, hands out, admire, the harpy.
okay.
And maybe, like hack it.
Okay. What is the move you're trying to do here?
Hack the system. When I have time and close proximity with the machine, roll plus mind. On a 10 plus, take 2 hold. On a 7 to 9, hold 1. When the machine is nearby, spend my hold 1 for 1 to do one of the following.
Okay. So I think there's going to be a little bit of setup here because you're trying to do this without Sophia seeing you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Sophia is occupied, so I think there is a chance to succeed. There's also a chance that I think Sophia is not like totally disengaged from what's going on.
I would say character-wise, it's also fair to say that Sophia, unlike most of the rest of the crew, kind of lets the repair crew kind of do their thing, and then goes back and checks their work when they're finished.
Yeah.
So
what I'm gonna have you do then is I'm gonna have you roll to gamble.
Okay.
Which is kind of, again, the pilot version of the act under pressure move. So when you take a gamble, which is kind of what this is, tell the GM what you stake and roll plus luck. So what you're trying to do here right now is get a proximity so you can get some quality time with the harpy. Yep. It sounds like what you're staking is essentially Sophia's wrath here, unless there is something else that you're willing to that you think is more appropriate here. But it's the ramifications, the downside here will be what Sophia does.
That's probably the biggest one. Yeah, I mean, I don't think any pilots are a real big fan of someone else poking around their pike. So
yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna have you roll plus luck.
There goes the die. So that is 7, barely.
So okay, it is a success. On a 7 to 9, there's a cost or price to pay, but you do set out to do what you're setting out to do. So I'm going to let you get a chance to do the hack move. So do you have to roll for that?
Yeah. So I roll plus mind.
Okay. So go ahead and do it.
So that is I rolled 5 and a 3, 8 plus 2, 10. So I have 2 hold.
Okay.
Or just spend at some point.
And there's at some point in the future, but you get the time. So you place you can get up to the foot of the harpy, and you kind of stand there for a moment. You place your hand on the machine, and you feel that kind of connections, and you feel yourself, like your consciousness sort of extending into the circuitry and kind of getting a full read on the machine. As this happens, it sort of responds and kind of like shifts a little bit. Kind of like almost like it's fidgeting. I think here's what happens though. One of the repair techs sees you doing this, and comes over and says, "What are you doing?"
Of course, I mean, I'm certain you've heard of the Harpy as well. It was fascinating to see in action. Yes, that's what happened, action.
Looked like you were
Just-
meddling with someone else's machine.
Meddling's such a rough, evil thing to do. I would never dare meddle.
He kind of looks back over his shoulder at Sophia and says, "I should probably tell her that you were over here doing this."
We can go over together.
We could, or you could persuade me to look the other way.
Oh, I see. It's one of these conversations. Oh, okay, 1 second. Yes, I understand. You want some repercussions so that no one's aware of what happened here.
That's
I get what you're putting out.
That's a lot of big work. If you give me some credits, I'll turn and walk away.
Yes, I can do that. I have credits. They can now be yours. Just hand over. What would an appropriate amount of credits be?
Maybe like say 50 credits.
He hands over like 500.
Yes, I love it. Okay. you hand over the credits to him, which I think it's a matter of like, because it's all digital currency. So you just like, he holds out a small piece of like, it essentially looks like glass, and you put your thumbprint on it. And as you pull back, he looks down on it and he goes,
I expect everything is according to plan. Wink. Wait.
because definitely, I won't say a word. And he just goes like very quick, like power walking off.
Well. Okay.
Okay.
No, just walk off.
All right.
I can't even be mad. My mechanic dude just made like 500 credits. Like, good on you.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Okay. Did we have a resolution to the
Yes.
scene? Okay.
Yeah. So the can you read the question again?
Yeah, it is. How can I lower their defenses?
So the question the answer is that seems that until the pike is fixed, that the Cisco is like really on edge, and so the pike being fixed is probably he won't be able to relax until that is finished, and seems. And more than that, just seems kind of uninterested. While he seemed like hyper eager about everything worked on the ship and like being deferent and all that stuff before the encounter, now that the pike's been damaged, it seems like all that stuff doesn't matter as much.
I think in response to this, because from Sophia's perspective, like her and Cisco have like similar ways of doing things, or at least like similar like skill sets. So she just wants to know what's going on here. But I think she will like back off and just kind of go back and sit, and like oversee everything that's happening after they're done like fixing the harpy, kind of do a once over, make sure everything's okay, and then once all of the mechanic crews have like packed up and they're done with everything, probably like then kind of approach him again and see if he's more chill and talk to him.
Well, we said that only one damage is getting fixed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so my pike at the moment is not going to be fixed.
Yeah. So, and that's probably where we get the end of this. The rest of the question, because you've seen Cisco and how he's behaved. So at this point, you see him still on edge, and I think that's when Sophia has the realization that's like,
Yeah.
getting that answer. So yeah.
I also go check on my shit.
Yeah, yours is fine by the end of like, I guess,
Is
business. As far as you can tell.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, you cannot. It looks pristine. They did very good repairs. I mean, you power it on, you run the systems, everything else. Everything's
Roll analyze. No.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't even think there's anything that would even like, because nothing has changed at this point. So
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know. Brand new game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's where we're at right now. If a situation happens and once you start spending hold, you'll have a chance to roll to analyze. Okay, so was there anything else in this little bit of interlude that we have? Yeah, I guess Cisco didn't get to do anything. You just got interrogated.
Well, just Cisco asked somebody real further, like when the mechanics have kind of like wrapped up for the day and they're all packing up, kind of like bouncing from one leg to the other, tries to get directions back to where the latrine is, and then gets him in.
An ongoing bit.
No, interrogated seems harsh.
Nah, I'm just joking. Just joshing you. Okay. So the rest of this cycle passes with you all overseeing this bit of repairs. You get some food in the sort of mess hall and get a chance to like interact with some of the crew a little bit more. Spending a time walking around the ship, getting to know the heiress a little bit better, and for the time it takes for them to fix the one damage from the ship and everything, about 24 hours passes on the heiress. You have made it about halfway to Terra Prime from the Pagana, or from the alloy fields, and there is about halfway through the following day, while repairs are still underway on the Midnight Stalker and the Coyote Zero, there is an announcement that is made over the intercom system by Captain Trist, and she says, attention crew. Oh no, what was her voice? Attention crew, all hands to their stations. Get everything fastened down. We've got company. Looks like the League's nearby. And she said there's a brief pause of the click, and then the intercom picks up again. She says, I need the Pike pilots to the bridge ASAP.
And Sophia just like lights up, like, yes.
Mark will finish adjusting whatever panel he's on, and then just like, rubs his oily, greasy hands on a rag, and it's just like, this isn't good.
As much time passed since have I been the whole time?
It's halfway through the next day.
Okay.
You spent a lot of time in the bathroom.
You were gone for a long time.
Okay, so I will say that Cisco has not changed out of his flight uniform.
Okay.
And so
You slept in it and then got up the next day.
Seems a little bit tired.
Yeah. The repairs are still underway on the two ships that had the 2 damage. But you all rush up to the bridge, and you can see, again, the void of space all around you. You can see, and I think I didn't really describe this before, Gaia is sort of always present. There's not, because you are the moons here of Terra Prime, Obsidia, and Iria are all orbiting Gaia. You always have that perpetual red, kind of amber colored planet hovering out in the distance, now a bit closer than it was the day before. And you can see towards Gaia in the direction that you have been heading, following the orbit, trying to make interception with Terra Prime. You see a ship approaching. It's hard to get perspective. You see the sort of brass, almost golden glint of a familiarly shaped ship. It kind of has a square rectangular shape from the front, with a few sort of appendages out to either side, almost like wings, extended out to the left and right, giving it a very flat, sort of elongated appearance. And you realize it must still be far off, because I think it's a site that most of you are at least passively familiar with. This is a League warship, or battle cruiser, which is a massive vessel.
How much bigger is large than large is massive?
Which I'm actually checking to make sure whether it is no, it's a colossal vessel, not a massive vessel, which is 2 size categories bigger than large. Yeah.
So that means any damage we do would be reduced by 2, just off the bat.
And I think that can one-shot me with one damage.
Yeah. So you see the cruiser approaching in the distance, and there are a couple of other ships kind of around the side of it, a small fleet approaching, and you see Captain Trist looking visibly nervous currently, and she is staring at the radar system and muttering under her breath. And as you all come in, the doors shut behind you. She goes, "I suppose you see that out the window, right?"
So not a normal Wednesday then.
No, not a normal Wednesday. We're gonna play it cool, and we're gonna see if they just let us pass. We have the proper authentication codes to be running this cargo run, so hopefully they'll take those, and we won't get into any more trouble.
So, Captain, because we all know they're not going to do that, you got a plan B?
Well, the 4 of you are kind of the plan B.
That's what I love to hear.
You have a plan C.
Might be able to offer one of those. More of a plan B2. Can have a word with your navigator, see if I can help them plot a better course. In case, one shit hits the fan.
Yeah, if you feel like you can aid some expertise there, go right ahead. Jasa, and she looks over her shoulder towards a woman with blue hair that's kind of striped with silver, that is currently sitting by one of the sitting in front of the console with the big holographic display on it, and she turns, and I think there's like a popping noise as a big pink bubble gum bubble kind of pops in her mouth. She kind of chomps away. She says, "Yeah."
Kids.
She said, Captain Triss sees the look on your face. She says, she knows what she's doing. But yeah, any skills that you can offer here would be appreciated, in case shit hits the fan. The rest of you, any ideas? Anything you can bring? I don't know I hear stories about what pike operators can do. I don't know. I assume that thing is too big for any of you to take on directly, but anything you might be able to do here.
Can I try to analyze the situation?
Yeah, you can. This would be a perfect analyze the situation.
Okay. I don't have a mind, I don't think. Let me see what my...
I was gonna say, can I contribute to this? But
you can.
Can we assist?
Yeah, one of you can assist.
I don't have a mind, so this will be luck. Oh boy. Nope, fail.
Which we didn't do ties. I don't know if any of you guys did ties with each other before. I think that's the one thing we left out of this session or beforehand.
Even if someone successfully helps me, I will still fail.
Okay, well, that's good to know. So you can mark a despair.
Okay, no problem.
But do we want to briefly take an aside to talk about ties, or?
No, let's just, if we decide to do a assist or interfere, I will just let you guys roll +1 because that would typically
it's
be
essentially
where we were at.
bonds for
It's
anyone
bond
who's
in the
familiar
system.
with Power by the Apocalypse.
Yeah. So there's a dungeon world mechanic. I think it started in Dungeon World where you can essentially you fill out your history with each other. It kind of comes from the Apocalypse world mechanic of having history. It just solidifies it to sync to like more concrete goals. And if you have ties with people, you can better able to assist them or interfere with them. But yeah,
we don't have ties strong enough for this situation.
We'll deal with that later.
That plus the ties is just to your whether you succeed or not, right? It's not to because you probably could help me, but unless you can give me a +2 or greater, it's not gonna help.
Yeah, because you only get the one modifier.
Yeah,
so
that's really what's at stake here.
Okay, so you get your 1 despair. I think with analyze, I don't think it has a specific fail condition. I think what I'm gonna give you with this, I mean, the despair kind of qualifies
tries to figure out like how to get around this situation, and like, it's overwhelmed, and especially with the context of like having already a damaged pike and like against just a couple measly pirates is starting to like just get
that's
real
the
concerned.
I think playing into your class, you realize just like how unprepared you are for the situation. Before we get to what Mark is doing, does Titania or Root anything you want to contribute? We'll do more of like group planning and stuff, but I didn't know if you had any moves or anything that might work here.
Not necessarily moves, but against something of that size, we can't do anything against the whole. But we can do things against systems, perhaps by time.
Captain Trist nods, says, "That's kind of what I was thinking. I mean, I don't think we'll be able to. Unfortunately, the Aris isn't really built for combat. I mean, we're heavy and we're slow. We can take a beating. I don't know how many shots we could take if this thing starts firing on us, but it's not many. But we can get you close, and depending on what the situation, how it unfolds. But I think a couple of quick moving, smaller objects like you, especially, they're not going to be expecting 4 pikes to descend on them. Hopefully, if you could knock out any of their systems, especially communications, radar, anything like that, that'd help us get away. That's going to be mission critical.
Well, Root, if that's something you can do, I can try to get you close. If anybody's gonna take a gamble for this ship, it's gonna be me, so.
We can do something. Success is uncertain, but we can do something.
Success is always uncertain.
I mean, this is actually pretty statistically bad. We want the numbers.
I got your back. Against my better judgment.
I don't know if they'll be shooting us in the back. If things go by plan, they will be shooting our fronts.
You know what, buddy? Even better.
Finally, the last thing that Captain Trist says is you see the massive, or the I guess I'll say colossal, just so we keep the tags in mind. Warship approaches. She says, "The last thing," and I'm again cross my fingers these codes get through and that we're able to get past, but we cannot let them on this ship. One, because we've got a bunch of cargo back there that they're not supposed to see, but there's something on the ship that if they lay eyes on, they're gonna just blow us right out of the sky. No questions asked. So nobody gets on board. Right?
Can't have that. You're a ride home.
Fair
Can the
enough.
something be used aggressively?
No. But it's vital to the resistance.
I think the resistance needs more things that can be used aggressively.
Well, we got some guns on board, and I mean, nothing that's going to be used for space combat. So, all the materials we have was meant for guerrilla warfare around the cities. I mean, we've got some explosives, but that's about it.
Now that's not the worst idea.
Oh, while you guys are thinking about that, I'm going to go ahead and have Mark do his.
Yes, I would like to use the Kessel run to try and help Jessa plot a course through dangerous terrain.
Okay.
So, roll plus skill. That is a 10.
10. Okay, so what is the effect on a 10?
So I get to ask 2 from the list. I think the main one I want to ask is, where can I bail if things go wrong? So assuming they, start pursuing what is the best way out.
Okay. There aren't a lot of options. This is going to seem like a really simple solution, but I think it's the best solution that you've got. There's nowhere really to hide behind. You're well beyond the asteroid fields here. The one downside of these cruisers, these large vessels, is that they have a hell of a turn radius. And your best option, if things hit the fan, is probably straight past it, because that's going to take the longest time for it to turn around and get on course to pursue. Which
Okay.
means getting in close. But the closer you can get, the closer you are to danger, the further you are from harm.
And then I think the second question I would like to ask, and you kind of touched on that with its big turn radius, but how can I ensure no one follows me? And that may be more, how do we keep the fighters off?
Yeah. You know that the fighters have a limited range. They won't pursue too far away from the main cruiser, because they will need to refuel. They're short range vessels. If you can keep the cruiser from being able to pursue, or disabling its systems to keep it from pursuing, that the fighters won't be able to go very far. They're going to have to stay behind.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I will talk those over with Jessa. Maybe clue in whatever other crew members need to know.
Sure. I assume you tell your
Yeah.
main party here.
The Pikers. So we need to figure out a way to impede their turning and maybe make them sitting ducks so the fighters can't pursue.
I mean, I have an idea you're all gonna hate.
Well, let's hear it first.
Look at Captain Interest. You said explosives.
Yeah, we've got a few crates of some grenades and things like that.
Oh, yeah. So my next question was going to be, how portable are said explosives?
I mean, I imagine your pikes could probably lift a crate of them fairly easily. They're meant to be, I mean, individually they're grenades. They're meant to be carried on you, but if you're...
But all at once.
Yeah.
It's a big
if
fuck
you're-
off grenade on the side of that very big ship.
I imagine that wouldn't do anything insignificant.
Hey, Mark, does your, stealthy thing cover just you, or you think you can get a crate up in there?
I think you see Mark. He starts answering, then you see him think it over a bit more, and I think he starts muttering under his breath things like, well, obviously the stealth only extends to the pike itself, but a crate of explosives might be small enough to fly under their radar, or I could take them into one of the weapons compartments and unleash them from there.
If, per se, me and, I don't know, the Rook or somebody from outside made a big scene, you think you'd get it in there?
Could get in there even without you all making a scene, but won't say no to a little help.
You want him to be a sitting duck? Why don't we just blow a hole in the side?
Perhaps we can start with the engines.
Their engines or their optics. Yeah, engines would probably be better.
That sounds like a plan. We'll get that together. I'll start getting them ready to pulling out the canisters, the crates that have the grenades in them. And she looks to Jessa and says, begin to plot our course just in case. I'm sure they're going to be, and there is a flash on the screen, and Jessa says, Captain, we're being hailed. And Triss curses under her breath one more time and says, all right, bring them on screen. And the screen lights up, and you see standing there a woman with blonde hair, long and in these like big curls that fall around her shoulders, and she is wearing a sort of a very striking navy blue uniform with golden buttons and embroidery on it, and these big sort of shoulder pieces that come off to the sides. This very ornate military or militaristic uniform. And she says, I am Countess Mariah Hawthorne. Crew of the Ares, I demand that you cut your engines immediately and surrender yourselves. We will be boarding your ship, and we will be searching your vessel for illicit contraband. We have our weapons trained on you, and any attempt to flee or to fight, if you're foolish enough, will end in your immediate destruction. Which one of you is captain? And the Captain Trist steps forward and says, that would be me. This all seems like it's just a grave misunderstanding. You'll find that our security clearance should allow us to pass through this sector. We have important cargo that we're in the process of. And the Countess holds up her hand and says, I've had enough of that. I know that you have something on your ship, something that we are looking for. I demand that you turn it over immediately. Follow my commands. And very few will have to die. And with that, the communication cuts.
Damn blue bloods can't get their rocks off unless someone dies.
As a completely other random chance, how big is this thing that cannot be found? And could it just be carried off of the ship?
If you, this thing is a person, and this person could be taken off the ship, but I don't know where you'd go with them.
Well, if they're searching the ship for them, and they're not on the ship.
The thing is, we still have a bunch of stuff on the ship that they're going to find, and they're not going to let us go as soon as they're on.
I think our best option here is to cause a bit of chaos and give the old heiress the chance to zoom on through. What you think, boys? You want to set a bomb?
Who are they looking for?
They're looking for someone important, somebody that is going to help the resistance a great deal. I can't tell you anymore, not until we're back on the ground. I'm the only person here that knows the identity of this person, and it has to stay that way in case things go wrong.
What if the League thinks that this person is in the pike with me?
Then they're probably going to do everything they can to capture you. Or to destroy you. I honestly don't know.
They can try to catch me. But maybe I can distract him for a bit.
Maybe. But they're going to send everything they have against you.
Coyote Zero's fast. Real fast.
That might be enough of a distraction to give the rest of you an opportunity to disable the systems. Jessa will get the heiress through their lines best she can. She's honestly one of the best pilots I know, so we'll meet you on the other side. All right?
Just, Root,
Yes.
you're good with computers, right?
Is anyone?
I hope so. Are you?
I mean, you can tell them what to do when they do things. Sometimes.
Okay, so here's
until
what
they
I want
sense
you-
your fear.
Here's what I want you to tell the computers what to do, okay? We can't lose this cargo for any reason, like the VIP or anything else. The people need it. So, this is important. What we need to do, if we need to put something in our systems, and if we can make it look like we're hiding it real good, of the location of this VIP, and make it seem like you're hiding that this person is on the Coyote Zero. And I'm sure this ship will be able to like crack our codes to some extent and like find it, but they'll make it seem like they found it because they broke through like they found a secret. Does that make sense?
If you want it found, encoded message sent out rather rapidly, sent out in distress on certain frequencies that may be less used by the League, but I'm under no doubt would be easily caught when you are sitting underneath it.
I'm gonna take your word for that. So we send out a burst signal that's supposed to appear to be encrypted and secret, hopefully getting the League's attention. We'll wait until the ship's in position to burst past with the coordinates that you've given, Mark. Mr. Mark. And once they kind of know the location of the presumed location of this VIP, then I'll make a run for it. Try to pull their attention in a different direction. Then you all can blast past.
Paint a target on your back. Let Mark blow things up. And the siren shall run decoy. Correct?
Is that crazy?
I'm quite certain all this was crazy a while ago, but
They wouldn't have hired us if they didn't want crazy.
I'm gonna
Well, what all
choose
this
to take
talk of
comfort in
crazy
that.
is- I'm just damn reliable.
All right. Once this begins and it looks like they're going for your feint, we'll make our move. We can only wait for so long. So get back as fast as you can.
I need your communication console. Or any console, really, you guys.
It's yours. Yeah, go for it. So I'm going to say I'm not going to make you have a roll for this one because I don't really have a roll prepared for sending distress signal. I was kind of thinking provoke, but I like this plan so much that, and I don't think it's super technical. You're just sending a message. So I think that that's something you can do and you can set up. So Root, you set the program and send the message and then sent the fake encryption on it. And you, I guess you probably instruct the communications officers there to send it at the right moment so everything can go off at the same time. You can see the ship approaching, and it has, again, it's this brass golden ship. You can see in the distance, and it's like at its size, it is just like beginning to sort of loom over you, and you can see in this white sort of ivory leading on the side, it reads Agamemnon on it, and there is this like you can feel this tension in the areas currently. You all get very quickly kitted up in your we get our montage of all of you getting in your flight suits and then hopping in your vessels, and then the cockpits closing and the displays coming to life. And Cisco, as you get in yours and the display comes to life, there's a little bit of kind of like fuzz that appears for a moment. And there is a voice in the cockpit that says, are you sure about this, little brother?
No.
I'll get us through this.
Thank you.
With that, the fuzz disappears and the reticles begin to appear and everything comes to life, and all of you step off of the mounting platforms and towards the back of the ship, and through the bay doors, which close behind you once again. That light appearing, just that perfect silence of just the four of you standing together in the airlock, and you hear over your headsets the voice of Captain Trist, and says, we've got everything set up on our end. Good luck out there. And there, the bay door cracks open in silence, and revealing the inky black void of space. What do you do?
Mark is just gonna, as soon as there's clearance, he's already chameleoned up and is just gonna, go for the best route. And
Yeah.
if you want me to make a Kessel Run roll to figure out how to best get to the engines.
No, I think with your roll from before, I think that you understand the layout of the ship, the best way. I mean, it's not really like a circuitous route together. It's pretty much like the direct way. We could maybe do a run if more obstacles present themselves. We can do another roll there. I don't think the situation has changed.
I don't know if they already have like swarms of fighters out at the ready, or if they're not on that high alert yet.
Not yet. You've seen a couple of fighter squadrons that were just like kind of strafing alongside, but they haven't like come to your ship yet. You do pick up the crate of grenades from the side and sort of tuck it under your arm like a football. And just kind of come gliding out. So you see Mark kind of detach and go drifting off the back of the ship.
I think I'm just I'm waiting on a cue from Root to let me know when the communique has been decrypted by the other ship, and then that will be my cue to blast off.
Okay, so yeah, Root, you get the message from the navigation officer. Says, "Message sent."
Okay, you have a matter of seconds now. You know what they say about loose lips. Very bad at drinking. Also, just leave me in the ship when we're done. And I'm gonna go ahead and ghost in the shell.
Okay,
Again.
what are you replacing?
When we leave my machine, I'm incapacitated until I take the time to recuperate.
Okay.
So, just leave me in the ship. If we don't make it, it doesn't matter.
All right. So yeah, we just see from the camera perspective, we're kind of slump in the cockpit a bit. Their eyes kind of roll up, and the ship kind of, you see the Mercury Coda kind of shrug a little bit and kind of take on that more human-like sort of presence, and Root kind of starts drifting off the back as well. And at that moment, you get a message from the bridge saying something's happening. The fighters are mobilizing. I think they got through the message.
Let's see how you fly. That way forward.
Siska just takes a deep breath and then goes like, then just slams in the thrusters, blasting out of the bay doors.
All right, and just with there's the ship kind of visibly shudders as Cisco goes taking off, leaving a white trail behind him as he and the Coyote Zero go shooting off into the night, kind of strafing around the other side of the Agamemnon. As that happens, in that moment, you watch as all the fighter squadrons around the ship, those of you that have drifted off the back, you can see the Ares, and then you see the Agamemnon hovering overhead, and you watch as all of these squadrons begin to mobilize, and like a 1,000 insects. There's not 1,000 of them, but
there's 2,000.
Yeah, like dozens of insects going swarming around, and you see a large chunk of them very quickly locking on and beginning to pursue Cisco's trajectory.
So this is what I'm gonna try to do. So I'm gonna hope that they don't want to inflict collateral damage on their own ship, and so I'm gonna do like the classic Star Wars thing and be like flying, like try to like graze the big ship, like so like the fighters are having to shooting on their own ship, or like if they miss me, and like going through. Is the ship completely smooth, or there are like stuff sticking out?
No, there's like random stuff.
Okay, cool.
Sticking
Because
out.
I want to weave through. I want to stunt on them is what I want to do.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Yeah, go ahead and roll to stunt on them.
Okay. Oh god. It's not good, but luckily I can use luck. So it manages to be a 7.
A 7. Okay, so it's not a fail. So on a 7-9, things don't go quite as planned. You can make the choice to bail or take 1 damage, ignoring armor to power through.
I'll take the damage.
Okay. So yeah, this is what happens. The Coyote Zero kind of strafes in, coming just dangerously close to the Agamemnon, and you watch as 3 of these squadrons of fighter pilots, or the fighter planes, ships, not planes, come closely pursuing behind, most of them peeling off and trying to maintain a safe distance. A couple of them very closely pursuing. I think, Cisco, you just barely kind of make a wrong turn as you're coming around one of these larger sort of pylons sticking out of the ship, and you just sort of clip the side of it, and you almost lose control, but you do right yourself at the last moment for making another impact. There's a couple of sparks from the inside, and your display kind of fuzzes for a second, but the ship is okay. So that is what Cisco is doing. The rest of you.
I haven't done anything yet.
Sure.
I think Sophia was just waiting for the launch moment, and as soon as Cisco sort of hits the gas, I think she sort of takes off in between, just sort of into. She's just trying to cause as much chaos as possible. In between sort of what's happening with Cisco and then Mark trying to sneak off. So if I can, I would like to just wildly fly into the fray and start shooting.
Okay.
Because I have this move called Lucky Shot, which is when you take aim at someone without hedging your bets. Say we were trying to hit a roll, so I can roll plus luck.
Okay. Yeah.
To try to hit someone that is not my team.
Okay. Yeah, no, that you can do that. So go ahead and make a roll.
I think she just takes off and is like, "Oh yeah, let's go, baby." That was a 13.
Okay, I think that succeeds. What's the outcome?
So on a 10 plus, I deal damage, and then also choose from my great list of things I can do. How about they're hobbled and slow moving?
Okay.
So I am just flying just straight in, not even really taking aim, just not hedging anything, firing wildly, and trying to slow down as many of them as possible.
Okay.
With
yeah.
my cannon.
So I think this is how this works out. Because I'm trying to figure out, because you're going for there's a group of that you're trying to deal with, and these are sort of large groups. I think you come kind of cutting in front of some of these fighter ships that are kind of pulling up and trying to avoid colliding with the Agamemnon, and you just unload across them, both your shoulder-mounted cannons firing alongside with a blast from your ion gun, and as you do, there is the blast from the ion cannon hits the side of the warship's hull, and there is a resounding explosion from that, and you watch as a large number of these fighter ships are then kind of go spinning off, losing formation and losing control of their ships from this ion blast, and they seem like they're probably out of commission for a moment, given that. So there is that is the effect there. You do destroy a couple of them with your damage too.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, so that's taken some heat off of Cisco and disabled some of the ships. Mark and Root.
So I'm going to just wait that quick moment so everyone's sort of dispersing off and everything is starting to go down. And I'm just going to crawl over and fling myself and attempt to just latch onto the enemy ship.
Onto the Agamemnon?
Yeah, the Agamemnon itself.
Okay. Is there a roll that you're angling towards here? Or?
Well, if I'm under fire, it might end up being a stunt. Otherwise, I don't know if it'd just be a straight evade if I'm just trying to get across from there.
Yeah, I think evade would work well here. Yeah, because you're all in the line of fire right now. So, yeah, I think evade is gonna work best here.
Okay. 8 plus 3, that is an 11.
11. Okay. Yeah.
I'm keeping this die. This is a wonderful die.
You as Titania makes this massive explosion, causes all this distraction. I think, yeah, Root, you actually kind of come running along the back of the Ares, and then you kind of blast off with a really quick burst, getting you enough momentum, but trying not to draw any attention. You go soaring through behind one of these last squadrons that comes through. Probably disabling some systems at the time to try to not come up on their radar, and then kind of trying to go as quiet as possible. And then, yeah, you are able to latch on, and you are kind of clinging to the. I don't know if you wanted to specifically be on top or the underside. I don't know if it matters to you, but you are on the ship. I think the underside makes the most sense based on your current positioning. Plus, all the fighters are up top where Cisco is. So yeah, you are in position, and Mark.
I'm just trying to get to the engines as quickly as possible.
Okay,
While
so
still remaining stealthy.
What I am going to have you do. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have you roll to evade as well. I think there's a large. You're invisible. They don't see you. There's a large amount of activity. Other ships flying by, so you're trying to evade, like being run into by some of these fighters.
I don't want to do a double roll, but could I use the Kessel run to maybe give myself a +1 to that instead, or is that?
I will, because you had the +1 from before, right? From your last Kessel run, or
was
did you
it-
just?
So the Kessel run doesn't actually give a mechanical +1 that lets me ask questions, but
Yeah.
could do something of like, how can I ensure no one follows? What's the fastest route? Things like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you. Yes, I'll give you a sort of a situational +1 based on your roll from before.
Okay.
That makes sense to me.
Well, didn't need it. That works out to be an 11.
Perfect. Okay. So yeah, you kind of have the same situation as Root is trying to avoid some of the fire. You are kind of directly going against the current of the ship of the fighters that are actually kind of moving towards the area, and you are able to just like turn yourself in such a way that these squadrons pass right by you. You can almost see the pilots on the inside of the cockpits. They come so close, but they don't seem to notice you or don't notice the distortion in that moment because they are so focused. And again, you have to keep your thrusters to a minimum so they don't catch that. But as long as you're moving slow and steady, you're gonna make it to the back of the ship, and you're gonna be there in a few moments. So we're gonna get back to you in a second, so you can do your thing with the bomb. And what happens next is this squadron of fighters that passes by Mark and Root are now heading straight towards the Aris, and they are beginning to open fire. What would anyone like to do?
Okay. I think, and it's probably honestly going to take a bit of time, I'm just going to take that full control, try to like crawl onto that ship, and I'm going to see if I can attempt to start hacking that thing.
Okay.
And I would tell you right now what my goal to do this is.
That would help, yeah.
I want to forge another received message.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Go ahead and make your roll.
It doesn't start well. The first dies a 1.
Okay. Only go up from there.
Okay. So that is a 7.
Okay, so it's just a success. What do you get on a 7?
So that is one hold, and I want to spend that hold to have the ship receive a message that this was a decoy.
Okay. That is specific what this is that the
ship this freighter and the messages here is a decoy.
okay.
And the actual vessel has been seen in another location.
Another sector or something. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so what we're gonna do there, because it does take a little bit of time for your move to your hack move to work. You begin to process that. We will deal with the ramifications of that here in a second. Let's go ahead.
Do they want this VIP alive? And now to know that they're not on my ship? No, I'm just
No. I think there's something really cool that we can get to from that, but there's a couple of things that are gonna happen before I think that message comes through. I think Titania and Cisco, because I know what Mark's about to do, most likely, unless he's going to change it. So I wanted Titania and Cisco get to your moves first, and then we're going to get to Mark with the explosives.
I don't think that I have a move until the bomb goes off.
Okay. So I think you are still just continuing to evade the fire. I do not think they're opening fire on you. They are just pursuing you right now, as long as you are close to the ship.
The only thing I'm doing is kind of going on a meandering path that's like hopefully leading the fighters in a trajectory that's away from where the ship is about to blast off. But that's the only thing.
I can get down with that. I think with your prior roll, I think you're set up for that. I don't think we need to do any additional rolls there just yet, because like I said, they're not firing on you. Titania, is there anything you want to do to intercept the fighters that are coming at the Eris?
Suppressing fire.
Okay, you just want to open fire on them?
Yeah, I think if I can keep leaning into this, like, shooting people without hedging my bets, like, I think she is just, like, as, I was gonna say controlled, like, causing controlled chaos, like, as controlled as she can be in this moment, I think is just, like, trying to find these points of, like, oh no, there's more of them. And it's just, like, kind of wildly flipping around and firing at people, just trying to confuse them as much as possible.
Okay. I'm trying to decide if this is a straight up exchange fire or...
I have this when you take aim at someone without hedging your bets, but I'm just trying to argue for that because that's my best stat.
With the lucky shot.
Yeah.
I think that worked for the first one. I think for this one, it's just going to be exchange fire because you are kind of hedging your bets here a little bit because I imagine you're not trying to damage the Eris. You're trying
not actively.
I'm going to say exchange fire at this one.
Okay. That's good. 9.
9. Okay. So you're going to deal your damage, and I'm going to sort of, because we're dealing with large quantities and like groups of enemies, you take out a few of them, but enough for them to break formation. Some of them do open fire on the Eris, but you can see its shielding sort of deflects a lot of the incoming fire. So you have kept the damage to a minimum. A couple of them peel off and they do open fire on you.
Yes.
And they are going to deal, it's going to be 2 damage, but it's going to be energy. And they're smaller, so that'll be 1 damage.
Total or each?
Total.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not doing like groups of like,
Great.
20 pilots do.
'Tis but a scratch.
Okay. I don't know if you have any barrier.
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, so you take 1 damage from that.
Nope, no barrier, no armor.
The ray then peeled off. So I'm gonna go. Oh yeah. I didn't know if Cisco.
That was a high five, not a raised hand. Sorry.
Okay. So Mark, I think we're gonna get to you because it's gonna pop a couple of things off. So, Mark, what are you doing?
So I have hopefully by now made it to the engines, and I don't know how many thrusters there are on this thing, but
I'm gonna say there's like 2 main thrusters.
yeah. And I don't know how many grenades and explosives we have exactly, if there's enough to take out multiple thrusters. I will focus them entirely on the one that they would need to use to try and turn and chase the heiress.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting, it's like, it's since it's two main thrusters, if they don't have one, they're just going to kind of probably spin because they're going to be off kilter.
Mhm.
So
So
that's probably not how spaceships work, but that's how I'm saying it works. So go ahead and they're at least going to be slowed down. So yeah, I don't think there's anything. There are no ships on the back here because nobody is expecting an attack from behind. So I think you're able to get it into position.
Yeah. So I think basically it's going to be, position the crate, start, shoving it to drift towards the thruster, and then I'm going to back up and get ready to give it an extra bang with my lance rifle.
Okay. Yeah, you wait, and I think we get a couple of scenes here. So the ship is or the crate is slowly drifting. We see Cisco weaving between the intricate kind of crevices and machinery of the Agamemnon. We see Titania currently opening fire on these swarms of this fire squadrons that are covering around her, and Root, who's beginning this hack on the Agamemnon itself. And then as it just reaches and goes for it, and then it kind of like bumps the interior of the Agamemnon's main thruster,
and boom goes the dynamite.
Okay, you fire. There is a small kind of burst as it hits, as like all the pieces and kind of like in slow motion begin to expand outwards. You see this clusters and clusters of these grenades that are come together, and then you see the spark at the center, and then all of them begin to explode outwards, and there's just this massive sort of concussive blast, and you watch pieces of shrapnel from the rear engine of the machine as the whole thing kind of they were currently inactive because the ship wasn't moving forward, but there was kind of a burst of power from one of the thrusters, and it kind of causes your machine to go kind of spinning backwards a little bit, but you right yourself, and yeah, you just see the wreckage of this one main thruster as it is destroyed. At that exact same moment, Root, you feel the ship shudder, and you get your message through, and there is a bit of chaos. As Titania is currently firing, and Cisco, you see some of the fighters sort of peel off in a few directions away from you. A couple stay on you, maybe like one or two. But you watch as the bulk of this force begins to kind of spread out, and a couple of them begin to kind of encircle and move away from the ship as if they are sort of scanning the nearby vicinity of the Agamemnon, looking for any sort of cloaked or other vessels that might be in the vicinity. Again, not ignoring you, just a lot of attention directed elsewhere. At that exact moment, you watch the thrusters on the Ares kick on, and the ship begins to accelerate forward at a very quick pace towards the back of the Agamemnon. A couple of fighters on its tail, not enough to really get through the hull, but they are still following. All of you have seen the explosion happen. However, at that exact same moment, Cisco, you pull up and you kind of begin to shoot off to the side and kind of trying to lose these fighters. You see as a set of bay doors begins to open on top of the Agamemnon, and there's a bit of light as you watch a shape begin to be kind of lifted up out of it. You see the vaguely humanoid shape of another mech fighter of the Pike class, probably a newer model. It is is kind of a similar brass golden color as the rest of the Agamemnon, and you hear over the general comms of the area and says, you hear the voice of Countess Hawthorne say, "All fighters, scan the surrounding area. I'll deal with the Pikes." and the thrusters kick on as these wings out kind of spread out from the back, and she very quickly kind of zooms off and spins, doing kind of a cartwheel through the air, and then straight towards you, Cisco, like a bullet.
All right. Well, that that gives me even more reason to do what I was planning on doing next. I was going to go for the escape.
Okay, this will be a good one as you see the tag for the Golden Condor approaching you very quickly on your radar. Go ahead and roll to escape.
All right. It's pretty good. 13.
Okay, 13. On a 10 plus, they have to choose back off or leave themselves vulnerable. I don't think she's going to back off.
Okay.
But as you go racing away, you are probably faster than her ship is. So she takes a dangerous route to try to catch up with you. And all the three of the rest of you, Root, Titania, and Mark, you see the Golden Condor and Countess Mariah Hawthorne currently pursuing, leaving herself wide open. What do you do?
I mean, I have an idea for how I could take advantage of that vulnerability. I would like to, while I'm still presumably cloaked, try and weave my way through the fighters and get up on her for a guerrilla hit with the fusion sword.
Okay.
Sort of Genji style, dash attack and then keep moving.
Okay. I want to set up a couple of moves at the same time because I think a couple of you can. So that's what Mark is saying. After you kind of see Mark on your radars, because all of you can pick up the Midnight Stalker. You see him approaching at fast speeds. Titania and Root, are you doing anything?
I'll probably, turn around, try to get myself in a low spot, and I'll go ahead and risk taking a shot at the weapon systems on her.
The weapon systems are on the Condor or on the Agamemnon?
On
the other pike.
On the other pike, yes.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure. Okay, so you're going to do that. So you're going to go for a disable, and which that might be good to set up before because it might impact some of the other moves. And was there anything, Titania, what were you going to do?
Oh, yeah, I'm absolutely getting up in this shit.
Okay, so I'm going to have Root, you go ahead and roll to disable.
Too bad I don't know how to fight. Three.
Okay, you get a point of despair. So that's one for Cisco, one for Root right now. If I'm making sure I'm keeping track of that. Okay, I am gonna say you take your shot. Okay, yeah, because on a miss, let's double check. Chooses one. Okay. Yeah, I think this will happen. You take her shot, and she kind of wheels through the air, and you avoid, or she avoids the blast of your attack, trying to very specifically trying to aim for the lance rifle that she's currently pulling out, and she turns around and inhumanly fast fires upon you. I do think you take a very bad shot to I'm going to say your own weapon systems as you're firing on her. So you're going to have a -1 to your exchange fire for the time being. The other two of you approach stealthily for Mark, and maybe less stealthily for Titania. Mark, I'm going to go ahead and let you do a destroy something because I think she's vulnerable, and I think your machine is uniquely equipped to take
So
advantage of that.
the fusion sword does 2 damage energy.
Okay. You slash across the back of her ship where the thrusters are currently engaging. You do find there's some slight resistance as the barrier surrounding her ship does deflect some of the damage, so only one gets through. All right. And she immediately turns around on you, but you were able to very quickly back up before she's able to slash backwards in your direction with her own fusion blade, which is actually built into like the gauntlet of her pike, giving Titania an opportunity to do
Space tackle.
Space tackle.
I have close range weapons. Can I get as close to her as possible and just try to like, cause she was like readying a weapon or like firing a weapon or whatever. I want to get as close to her as possible and just like try to blow that shit up.
Okay, it sounds like it disable, but I don't know if you were angling for something else.
I was angling for blowing her up.
Are you specifically trying to attack her or just trying to disable her weapons?
I want to mess up her weapon.
Okay, so that'd be a disable move. So it'd be roll plus fight.
Yes. That is a -1, 9.
Okay. So. Oh yeah. Okay. So on a 7 to 9, you get to choose one, and I get to choose one to use against you.
Okay. I want to. Sorry, I'm trying to. I'm trying to get the handout to pull up. I'm so sorry, it won't load.
You can either talk -1, or you gain +1 to escape erase if you target their optical sensors, target weapon systems for bonus to exchange fire, target thrusters for bonus to evade. You can remove some of her armor or remove some of her barrier.
There we go. I want to. Oh heck! So barrier is against
energy.
Energy. All right.
Yeah.
Oh heck! I don't know which one is better.
You did just see me use a fusion sword, and there was a barrier. We don't know how much armor she has.
Let's do a -1 to her barrier.
Okay. Barrier's reduced. She then slashes around back at you, and I think she is. So you do get she loses that. You don't have any armor or barrier, so I think she is going to target. She kind of slashes across, and you try to jolt out of the way, pulling back as fast as you can, but she gets a slash across your thrusters, and you have a -1 to evade currently. All right, so
I was gonna do that.
I think what happens at this moment then is she turns around to her main quarry, and she sees that that Cisco is trying to escape and is getting fairly far away at this point, moving towards, I imagine, the Eris, which is currently picking up speed and is approaching near the back of the Agamemnon. You can see the thrusters coming into kind of beginning to build up their charge, looking like they're going for a quick escape, or they're holding off until you are on board. She is going to... I actually think this is what happens. I think instead of firing on Cisco, she sees him, and you can see her lance rifle charging, and then she turns and she begins to focus on the Eris and begins to charge up for a shot on your ship, knowing it as your only means of escape. I am going to give you all a chance to do something there. I'm also going to say just anyone who has despair can use their despair move, because we haven't seen one, and we got to wrap this up here in a second.
I don't think my despair move is going to help.
Okay.
This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try. Can I roll to? Oh, that doesn't work. Well,
Can I have Ryan's despair?
Sure. Take my despair.
Sure. If we can see somebody use something, I'm down with it. But is there something you want to do, Cisco?
Yeah, I do. I want to try to interfere with what she's trying to do.
Yeah, you can do that. So go.
I think I've been flying like towards the Ares, and like I kind of like speeding over there while they're fighting out behind me, and I just kind of like I did like landing in the open bay, but like skidding across it and like turning around, seeing her letting a shot, pulling out my ion rifle, and like trying to shoot a distracting shot at her to try to get her targeting system.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Go ahead.
Roll plus ties, which will be 0.
Yeah, well, so I think here's what the thing is. So it's hard to interfere with an NPC because I don't ever roll. And since you don't have ties, I think we could flavor another move as an interfere roll,
Sure.
and you might get some.
You want me to exchange fire?
I think it's a gamble.
It's a gamble. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take that. It's my bet. It's better than
Because what
fighting.
you are betting on right now is
Right.
that you're going to be able to get the shot off before her. And if you
All right.
fail, you're staking your own well-being here.
Yeah. That's what I was feeling. Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
That's 10.
10. Okay. The iron rifle's charging, and it seems like it's overcharging for a moment. Like there's some sort of modifier. It's something like that is more advanced with her rifle, and you just see this charge building up, and then suddenly there is a shot that rings off just before she pulls the trigger of her lance rifle, and you see just perfectly the front of the cannon just explodes outwards and goes shattering into 1,000 pieces, and you can hear over the comms just her give out this just enraged screech at that moment, just furious everything, and then she begins to draw both of her lance her fusion blades at this point to charge forward, but is clearly off balance and off kilter, and just an act of desperation. Awesome. So the rest of you have a moment. You do see the ship being prepared to leave, though, so you have a limited amount of time.
If I can throw my despair move into the mix, I want to back up Cisco.
Okay. You can do that. So what's your despair move again?
It is when you fall into despair, close your eyes and take a shot. You don't know what's going to happen, but whatever does always turns out in your favor.
Okay.
You guys remember when I said space tackle? Can I just like full on all thrusters just like towards her, because I'm close to her anyway, just like smash right into her center mass, and just like anything to just throw her off, send her into a spin, send her swords flying, just like I think I just close my eyes and just all thrusters forward, like smash right into the middle of her pike with mine.
So Titania, you come careening in, and just like between Root and Mark, and where she is, the Golden Condor is currently positioned. Just this bullet comes in and smashes into the bottom, and both of them go smack. Were you raising your hand to do something, or?
I'm wondering if perhaps I can throw in a little bit of despair with that despair.
Okay, yeah, we can combo this.
Since in my
move combos,
in my despair, what do I want right now? My ship acts on that desire. I definitely want to. I'm annoyed that she stopped me, except I want to disable her. And since I do technically have a back door into the siren, I want to have her crash into it and then turn it towards me just enough so I can crash into the other side.
Okay. So yeah, there's this moment where Titania, you're going in full kilter, and then there's just this like beep beep on your machine, and you feel yourself kind of lose control for a second, and the whole thing just kind of spins, and you don't crash in as directly, but you still get a solid shot on her, just kind of sweeping the legs, and you just plow straight on through, going towards the heiress, and there's bits of debris that kind of come off her ship, and she goes spinning through the air, and at the same time, in like the opposite momentum of her spin, Root comes crashing in. You're not hearing anything from them right now, and there's no like communication over the comms, but just like full on, just like arm bars, and just comes in, clotheslines the Golden Condor. Again, more sparking coming off to either side. There's some cracks forming on the armor plating, and the root ship, the Mercury Coda, also goes streaking towards the heiress as the thrusters are beginning to file up, leaving only Mark remaining. What do you do?
Would you say that the Golden Condor is currently a vulnerable foe?
Yeah, I'd go for that.
I'm gonna do, I'm basically I did my sword dash. I'm turning around. I'm gonna sword dash through and head to the heiress.
Okay. You waited for your move to recharge, and as both of you see all your companions moving towards the cargo bay, and then you kick on the thrusters, and you throttle them a bit, and then you go shooting forward, bringing your sword up, and you just cut through, and all three of you come skiing to a halt, kind of slamming into the back cargo bay, and you all turn around and you just see the Condor there for a moment, and there's that anime kind of freeze where Mark is just standing there on the edge, and then the sword retracts, and then you watch as the right arm and the right leg and the left leg from about the calf down all just kind of falls off and begins to drift away, leaving it basically just inoperable at this point. And there's some sparking, and there's this small kind of explosions happening along it. The ship isn't totally destroyed, and you see the Golden Condor, the thrusters kick in, and it begins to kind of zoom out like a sputtering weird angle off away from the Agamemnon and away from your ship in a weird direction, and you just hear Countess Mariah Hawthorne once again just roaring at you over the comms and off in the distance. So all four of you are now on the Eris. You see the Agamemnon kind of just floating in the water out there, and the doors begin to swing closed, and you feel as soon as the bay door closes, there's a shift, and the thrusters from the Eris kick on, and you quickly leave this sector.
Later, Gator.
So I'm going to cut forward. We're way over time, so I just want to go ahead and wrap this up. We'll go to some more positive music here. You all load, get back onto the Eris and into the loading bay to cheers and congratulations along from all of the crew. Everyone is a little terrified, but mostly just happy to have everyone back and everyone survived. We cut to after the celebrations as the Eris comes descending down into the forests of Terra Prime at the base of the Resistance. That is currently the small outpost outside the major cities of this largely rural planet. The cargo is being offloaded, including your pikes, which are going to be repaired. Any repairs that needed. I don't know if anyone actually took damage in that final fight except for Cisco. Oh yeah, Titania did too. And there's a moment where Captain Trist comes over to congratulate all of you and says, Well, I didn't know if we'd make it all right, but suppose you kept up your end of the bargain. You'll find your credits safely where they're meant to be.
As always, a pleasure.
I don't suppose if you're looking for any more work, the Heirs could always use some more support like that. That's probably the cleanest we've made it out of any altercation with the League, so be happy to have you back on board anytime.
I don't know if you can afford those services.
Well, I suppose our anonymous benefactor might be able to help out a bit with that. And she turns up towards the cargo bay, and you see pack in hand walking down the ramp. You see Cedric. His hair no longer in a ponytail, is kind of his golden locks now draped over his shoulders. He's wearing a little bit nicer clothes before. He's got like that the sort of crimson jacket of the that is the Resistance kind of calls their standard, and he says, I suppose I'm sorry. It's just a little bit weird. My name is Cedric Hawthorne. You met my sister earlier. I guess I just wanted to say thank you for everything, and I promise I'm going to do everything I can here to make up this debt. And my family is, well, not my family, but me, as the heir to the Hawthorne empire, I guess. I want to do everything I can to help the Resistance, and thank you for your help. It means a lot.
Oh, sweetie, you're so welcome. And Sophia's like smoothing out her ponytail, like.
Anyway, I have to get to work, I guess, being Viscount and all. There's an election I have to be here for. Anyway, I gotta go. And he goes jogging down the ramp.
It's a pleasure to.
You don't salute nobility, even in the
If you're
military.
having a ball, invite her.
He kind of turns back, and he just turns and nervously continues running.
Hey, were you pointing at me?
Yes.
I just like clap Root on the back really hard, like, oh, I knew I could count on you.
All right. And with that freeze frame and all of you laughing and Mark just glowering over everyone, and all four of your pikes kind of shadowed behind you, battle damaged but intact. That's what we're going to call our session here for today. Awesome. Again, I'm very sorry we went so late. I'm not. Didn't want to leave that unresolved. We'll go ahead and wrap this up real quick. Thank you everyone for joining us, for watching. If you're interested in the system, again, we're still playtesting it, and I'm hoping we'll get a chance to do a couple more of these as we work out the kinks and get things in order. Eventually, I'm gonna put it up on somewhere. I'll post it, but check it out. If you want to follow the progress of it, of course, announcements and stuff will come through our usual channels, our Twitter and Discord, if you want to join that. And if you're interested in it personally and you want to give it a shot, I mean, the more people I can have play testing it, the better. If you're interested, just send me a message. You can DM me on Twitter, or you can join our Discord and send me a message there, and just let me know, and I'll send you a copy of our kind of pared down PDF, and you can let me know what you think. Anyway, That's about it. Check out everything else that's going on the channel. Like I said, next stream that we have scheduled is going to be Wednesday with Tidefall, picking up for back-to-back weeks. And then we will be back on, I don't think we have anything Thursday this week, but we will.
might be doing some Halloween stream on Thursday.
Cool. So maybe some spooky streaming on Halloween Eve. If you don't have any other plans, come check us out and hang out with us here. We'll have announcements, of course, on our Twitter beforehand to let you know what we're doing and when we're doing it.
And if you do have other plans, cancel them and then just join us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. I
Your
can't
mom
think of a
will
better way.
understand.
And then we'll be back on Saturday with more Saturday nights. We're going to continue our spooky adventure. But yeah, I think that's it. If nobody else has anything, then thank you, Matt, for joining us. Doesn't get to play with us often, but you're always a pleasure to have as a player.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's always great.
And until we see you all again, good game and good night, Internet.
Good night,
Good
Internet.
night, Internet.